Well, a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X and Instagram. Of course, on the app. So thank you very much for listening and watching to the show. This is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. Nobody won last night, so Lotto Max on Friday will be 22 mil. Tonight, the Gold Ball jackpot in Lotto 649 is $40 million. So get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Good luck. Just remember our deal. You know, the loyal listeners know. You win, you have a party, we're invited. We win, we invite you. It's a fair deal. It's a very fair deal. Lots to discuss on the show today. The Edmonton Oilers, a big win last night in Vegas. And we talked about this yesterday on the show. And I felt that the Edmonton Oilers, I've been reading and seeing a lot. And, a lot of people think that the Oilers have no chance. They're not as good as last year's team. And I'm kind of like, really? Why do you think they're not as good as last year's team? Because if you look at the team going into the playoffs, 8-8 in their last 16 games, 4-4-2 in their last 10 games, they had some concerns, just like every team has some concerns. The Oilers maybe haven't been as consistent. They've had a little bit more yin and yang, up and down roller coaster type season. Valid. And so maybe that's it, because under Knobloch, it was pretty steady, although it slowed down a bit, right? They had a stretch where they won 24 of 27 games last year. The Oilers also had a stretch this year where they won 22 of 30. They were the best team in the NHL for 30 stretch games. Now, the difference is, unlike last year, the Oilers aren't getting any new players that weren't already on the team on April 1st. The Oilers are going to add Frederick probably next week. Then Evander Kane would come in the following week, likely when the playoffs begin. So there's two guys that you haven't had all year long. Not to mention the guys you've added during the season, right? Jake Wallman. Victor Arvidsson starting to find his game. Scored another big goal last night. Guy goes to the net. Right? He's not going to – his season totals are never going to look great because of the slow start. But he's playing better. Right? Matthias Ekholm. I actually think the sitting out is going to help a guy like that. Matthias Ekholm, a little bit older of a player. More rest for him, better. Connor McDavid. We talked about it. Connor McDavid, 3 years in a row in the playoffs, has gone nuclear. He had 33 points in 16 games. Then the year before, he had 20 points in 12 games, which equates to 40 and 24. Last year, he had 42 points in 25 games. It's been incredibly consistent 3 years of domination in the postseason for him. Then you've got his running mate, Leon Draisaitl, who last year, by his standards, was a little bit lower. He still had 31 points, which you don't see very often in the playoffs. But that was actually down from his previous 2 years. And he's having a great season. I think the Edmonton Oilers, you look at how they played last night against Vegas. Both teams had guys out. Ekholm's out. Petrangelo's out. A wash. Now, I like Thomas Hertl. He ain't Connor McDavid. Right? That's who they had out. Then the Oilers also had no Kane, no Frederick, no Skinner. Edmonton in the first period didn't generate a whole bunch. And Vegas had shots. They didn't have a lot of great shots. Obviously, there was the giveaway that led to the goal. But I didn't think Vegas had a ton. Now, they had a great chance. Durovia, I still don't know how he missed the net late. Was it like 45 seconds? I don't even know how much time was left when he missed that open net. And then it's maybe a tie game. And sometimes that's a difference in close games. But I know there's a lot of concern in Edmonton, and I don't get it. I think Edmonton's going to surprise some people, because I've seen a lot of people writing them off like they don't have a chance. They're not going to get out of the one round. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But last night, pretty solid effort for the Oilers. Now they got San Jose tomorrow. And that's a little bit of a trap game because you just played Vegas. And then you're playing LA on Saturday afternoon. That's obviously going to be a huge game. The Kings won last night against the Jets, so they stay 2 points ahead of the Oilers in the race for home ice advantage in the Pacific Division. And I could see maybe overlooking the Sharks. Now the Sharks, they give up a ton. Edmonton's going to get chances. There's no doubt about that. They're going to get chances tomorrow night. You just have to find a way to get a win. And we'll see. Are they going to go with Olivier Rodrigue, or does the coaches say, you know what, we need wins? I'm going with my veteran goalie. It'll be interesting to see. I can see an argument for Olivier Rodrigue. I really can. I can also see the coach saying, he's not a guy who's going to play for us this year. I want Pickard to go. We want to win. So we'll see. But I could also see them, maybe that's the way to get your team's attention, by giving the rookie his first NHL start, right? And that to me could be intriguing. Speaking of the Oilers, some off the ice news. They've signed 2 players. David Tomasek, who led the Swedish Hockey League in scoring last season. They signed him to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract. So he'll come to camp next year. He's 29 years of age. He's a right shot center. Really good defensively, good in faceoffs. So at bare minimum, you say this guy's replacing Derek Ryan. Now, I know Derek Ryan's not on the roster right now, so you say, well, Gregor, that's not really valid. Fair point. But he's the right shot center that they want. You ideally don't want to go into every season having just lefties, right? He can kill penalties. He's good defensively. He's a right shot center. It checks a lot of boxes. He's a veteran. Now, we've seen some guys come over from Europe. Now, keep in mind, Derek Ryan never debuted in the NHL after playing in Europe till he was 29 years of age. So I don't know if Tomasek and Derek Ryan Derek Ryan scored over there, but never scored as much in the Swedish Hockey League. So Tomasek, you know what? He's got some skill, and we'll see what he does. They've also signed Josh Szymanski. He's signed a 2-year entry-level deal. He was playing in Straubing in the German Elite League. He led their team in scoring. It's not a hugely offensive league. He had 40 points in 52 games, which still puts him in the top 20, I think, in league scoring. So big guy, right? Lean though. He's listed at 6'5", 190. But he'll come over here, and the scouting report I got on him was big, can really skate, and just has gotten better. So the idea of a late bloomer, that this guy just continues to get better. And when you're going to trade away some of your draft picks, it's imperative that your pro scouting finds players who can come in and push for jobs, who maybe aren't, they're not all high prospects, because as we know, first round picks, second round picks, undrafted players, in that order, the highest percentage that make the NHL. First rounders, second rounders, not third, not fourth, but undrafted players. And he would fall into that category, and we'll see. He's a guy that I think is more likely to destined to start in Bakersfield and see where he goes. But he has a huge body. So, he's been playing in a man's league. He's 23. So it's not like he's 19. And maybe he'll be ready. So those are the 2 signings by the Oilers, as they, you want to find some, now obviously a little bit younger in some cases, a 29-year-old, you'd say, hey, he's not young, but it's kind of like a free agent signing in Tomasek for $1.2 million, and we'll see where he goes. I'm kind of intrigued, to be honest. I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go from here. So 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Last night in the National Hockey League, man, if you're a Montreal Canadian, I love when there's a playoff race, because you get situations like last night. I don't know if you guys were watching that game, because it was on before the Oilers game, not on the same channel, but it was on before. And I'm watching it, and you're thinking, man, Florida's going to win this game. And Hudson brings it up, cross center, comes into the offensive zone. Seth Jones poke checks it off his stick. Hudson then just throws a prayer at the net. Sam Reinhart, who's a very good defensive player, knocks it down, doesn't get all of it. Suzuki finds it, wide open to the side of the net, goal. 9 seconds left. They tie it. And then Suzuki wins it 29 seconds into overtime. What a massive, massive win for the Montreal Canadiens, as they have 79 points. Columbus, 8 goals last night. Marchenko, a hat trick. He's got 31. Man, the Columbus Blue Jackets can score goals, man. I'll tell you that. You look at The only teams with more goals than Columbus in the Eastern Conference, Tampa Bay and Washington. And they're tied with Toronto. That's it. They got the third most goals. Like, Columbus can score, man. They get in, they could be dangerous just because they can score. Now, they give up a ton of goals. That's their problem. So they got the third most goals in the East, but they've still given up more goals than they allow. So that's not a great combination by any stretch. But big win for them. Detroit, that's a tough loss. They're up 1-0. So it looks like they might hold on to win. Jordan Kyrou ties it with 29 seconds left. And then Fowler wins it in overtime. And that's pretty much the final nail in the coffin. The Flames and the Canucks, I thought they were out, but they're officially out now, Connor Halley. Like, the Flames, they got 8 games left. They're 7 points back of the Blues. If the Blues just go 3-3, the Calgary Flames then need to get to 95 points. And they would have to go 6-1-1 to do so. Not happening. Okay. Vancouver would have to be even better. They would have to go 7-0-1. So not happening. They're out. I think the New York Islanders, the Gregor Show, we're looking at the analysis. What do they call it? Like, the polls are in, when they declare so-and-so the winner. I'm declaring the New York Islanders out. They've lost 4 in a row. Their head coach is reaming out his players. Anthony Duclair was brutal. He shouldn't even be playing. And they're now 5 back of the Habs. If the Habs go just 4-4, Columbus goes 5-4, the Rangers go 4, Rangers go 5-3, then the Islanders have to go a ridiculous 7-0-1. Not happening. So I'm knocking the Islanders out. And man, Detroit, well, I already knocked them out anyway. So I think it's down to Montreal, Columbus, and the Rangers in the East. Games tonight that really matter: Toronto, Florida. Toronto has 94 points. Tampa has 93 points. Florida has 92 points. They all have 8 games remaining. Tampa currently has the tiebreaker in regulation wins, 3 more than Florida, 1 more than Toronto. So that is a massive game. Florida save Bobrovsky for tonight. He'll be in goal. And Ovi watch continues tonight in Carolina. You have the Rangers and the Wild. Flames and Canucks fans who think there's a chance will be cheering for the the Rangers. Meanwhile, Montreal fans, Columbus fans are rooting heavily for Minnesota in that game. And that's really only it. The Canucks, I'm saying they're out, but I guess mathematically they still have a chance. They're hosting Seattle tonight. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, are any of the new signings playing this year from Louis? No, they're all nobody could join. Like, they could come and play for the Oilers now, but they couldn't play in the playoffs because they weren't on the roster, right? So, no, these guys are all signed for next season. And none of these guys are coming in. They're not going to help the Oilers right now. So they're there for next season. Now, if they were a draft pick, different, right? Like, you can sign a guy who exits college, now turns pro. He can play and then play in the playoffs. So that's different than just signing a free agent who's undrafted. So that's a little bit different. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Greg, the Flames aren't chasing many. Yeah, well, look at Minnesota. Minnesota's not in. Look at what Minnesota has to do. Minnesota has a 6-point lead, and Minnesota has 7 games left. So Minnesota goes, guess what? 4-3. That's all they got to do is 4-3. Heck, they go 3-3-1. Let's just say they're average, and they go 3-3-1. It's 95 points. It's the same thing. It's no different. They actually have a game in hand on St. Louis. So trust me, people. I know the math. The Flames are done. Okay? They're done. You can use your mathematics. I'm going to look at history of the league. No team in NHL history has overcome a 7-point deficit this late in the season and made the playoffs. Ever. It's not happening now. Cons, what stood out for you last night?
I mean, locking in the Leon Draisaitl anytime goal. I think for those of you that play Alberta, that might not be paying out what it once did because just how dominant he has been. But you know what? I think just going into a tough environment. I know the Oilers Nation crew is down there making some noise, but playing in Vegas, find a way to gut it out with a 3-2 victory, playing a close game, maintaining that 1-goal lead at the end. I think that's a trait that I really admired in the Oilers last season during that really long winning streak, going into those games where it wasn't reliant on the offense to blow teams out. It was grinding out victories, finding ways to win close games, and doing it last night against the Vegas Golden Knights team. I think that is an encouraging sign for a team that is down some of their top talent.
Yeah. I look at the game last night, and I was very impressed by how the Oilers, while they didn't generate anything in the first period, they didn't give up a ton, even though they didn't have their A game. And they were only down 1-0. You're down 1-0 in today's NHL. You're still in the game. And then they had a very good second period. I was a little surprised that Vegas, although I guess I could understand it's 3-1, but why they challenged, like, to me, that was the easiest review. Arvidsson didn't move the pads, nothing. Like, I was a little bit surprised at Vegas challenge there. Maybe that's just the coach saying, hey, goalie, I got you. Because, of course, the goalies always think that everything should be, that shouldn't have been counted. But I thought that was an easy review, and it was done pretty quickly. But, Draisaitl, what a pass by Nugent Hopkins, though. I got to give Nugent Hopkins credit. I thought that was his fake and waited and able to just move his body and find it in Draisaitl right on his tape. Aiden Hill had no chance. That was a sublime pass from Nugent Hopkins. No question in my mind. We'll take a quick break, but before we go, I just want to send out our condolences. I know Al, Bruce is, part of it. Well, goes way back to even when we were on 1260, but Bruce is a regular contributor here on Sports 1440. Bruce McCurdy, his son Kevin put it out earlier today that Bruce passed away after the game. Kind of fitting. Bruce was, he loved hockey. I really enjoyed reading his articles because I thought he always had a balanced approach. He wasn't one who wrote to get headlines or just to try to, hey, this guy sucks. I thought he was respectful of the players, because I think sometimes that lost now in how some people want to talk about it. Oh, this guy's terrible and he sucks, and it's all hyperbole. Bruce didn't have any of that. I also learned a lot about astronomy from Bruce. It's not something I'm overly interested in, but he presented it in a way that I read his tweet. I saw his pictures and stuff, and I found it quite interesting. And so to Low Tide, I know a lot of his friends around, lots of you have read Bruce for years. It was very unfortunate. So to Kevin and the entire McCurdy family, we wish our condolences on his sudden passing. It's going to be a tough few days for sure for your family, but I'm sure it'll bring you closer together. And to everybody at the Call to Hockey, where Bruce has written for such a long time, we send our condolences to them as well. Pretty tight coworker group there, I'm sure. So we'll take a quick break. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Dang, last season you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang, they didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made. If they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Wow. Get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
At McDonald's, there are new breakfast sandwiches with a secret ingredient.
A secret ingredient?
It's a little sweet, born in the cold, cradled by spring.
Gotcha. It's maple.
Well, yes, but let me finish. It's made
with 100% Canadian maple syrup?
Right again. It's a brand new smoky maple sauce featured in...
Oh, some new McD's breakfast sandwiches.
And you can try it
before 11 a.m. only.
Wow, you're good at this.
I know what I like. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
You know how you look forward to all your favorite sports coming back in the spring? Soccer, baseball, golf. Well, GS Construction looks forward to getting back to work with the warmer weather. We're all excited and geared up for this very busy time of year. The groundbreaking season is upon us, and GS Construction is ready to roll with all sorts of new projects. Projects that help the community and make the place we live in better. For more on what we do, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers. Make sure you've got your spot inside Rogers Place for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers full or half-season seat holder for the 2025-26 season. Head to edmontonoilers.com/season seats and don't miss out on great seats going on sale this Friday at 10 a.m.
Rated online gambling website.
.225. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having an awesome Wednesday afternoon. Orders in San Jose, preparing to take on the struggling Sharks tomorrow night. Don't expect McDavid or anybody who wasn't in the lineup last night to return. The only change might be in goal. We will see if Olivier Rodrigue will make his first NHL start tomorrow. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Of course, they are Canada's #1 Volvo dealership in new car sales, 13-time winner, excellence in sales and service. You get great vehicles, but much better service. Family-run business. Mike That's how he runs it, and that's how they treat people, like family at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Pre- and post-game host on Sports 1440, Andrew Walker, joins us and walks pretty impressive victory last night for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. Hey, Gregs. You know what? I don't know what we necessarily expected. Vegas they've been one of the best teams since the Four Nations. They've won 6 in a row. They're kind of running away and hiding a little bit with the Pacific, which is maybe not what we thought at Christmas. Oilers are banged up, and yeah, it's a tough place to play, but they went in, and I thought they played pretty good. They didn't give up much. Pickard was all right. They get a little bit of depth scoring. I thought Wallman was all over the place. So, for the Oilers, you're not catching Vegas. I think we all know where they're going to go into the postseason. It's going to be against LA. Are you at home? Are you on the road? Doesn't matter. But yeah, they have a chance here over the last 8 or 9 games to get guys back and to start getting into go mode, right? Like that's what I think. And last night and Saturday too against Calgary, those are good steps.
Well, I agree. Like, because Calgary's been a pretty desperate team, and you know what? They came back, beat Colorado the other night, and then obviously lost last night in Utah. So that's probably the final nail in their coffin. But you look at the orders, and I think a lot of people, and I could be wrong, maybe I'm overrating them, but I think a lot of people are underrating the Edmonton Oilers, because I think maybe their expectations were they just should have steamrolled everybody all regular season, and because they didn't, and they've had some dips where they haven't been good, no question. That, like, I see a lot of people, they're not one of the top 4 teams. They're not a real contender. And I'm kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, the Edmonton Oilers still got McDavid. They still got Draisaitl. There's no 2 guys better in the playoffs than those 2 guys recently. And the rest of their team is starting to play better. And they're going to get 2 guys back who will add something they really haven't had all year in Kane and Frederick.
I think we are so close to it. And this fan base, it's hard to look at this group and, like, we know they're good. Like, the record says they're good, but there's been a lot of guys that they haven't been quite the level we expected. Even Connor McDavid, right? Evan Bouchard is another guy that has had a rough year. Stuart Skinner, and through all of this, they're still 42 and 26 or whatever. And it's just really easy. And I fall into the trap too. You look at Dylan Holloway, and it's a fumble, right? The guy's going to have 70 points. Broberg looks like a star. Warren Fogel's having a career year. McLeod's having a career year. So it's hard to look at this Oilers team and just be so pumped. Like, I get it. But I'll also, like, I look at, if I'm a fan of the LA Kings or Vegas or Dallas or whoever, who's excited to play the Oilers? Like, that's not a matchup you want, right? Like, think about what another fan base would say. It's, oh, God. Like, do you think they're focused on Warren Fogle? It's like, no, there's still the important guys that are there, McDavid and Draisaitl. They can beat anybody. So I think we're too close to it a little bit. And it's easy to compare this year's team with last year's team and be somewhat disappointed. But don't kid yourself. Like you just said, like, no one wants to play the Oilers. It's not a good matchup.
No. I look at the LA Kings, and the Kings are good. It won't be easy, and they could always lose, they being the Oilers. But
sure.
I think Edmonton's a bad matchup for LA. They just are. LA doesn't have the skill that Edmonton has, and Edmonton's shown you that, and they've shown in the playoffs now, if you want to play a slow, patient game, they can do it.
If you inject even the guys that we love, right, the Kopitars and the Doughties, guys that have won before, you inject them with the truth serum, and you say, hey, do you want Edmonton? No chance. Like, they do not want Edmonton. Give us anybody else. That's what they would say. Give us anybody else. Now, LA's been the best home team in the league. Could they, if they get home ice, could they beat the Oilers in 7? For sure they could. Like, it could easily be a story from now in a month from now. But the Kings, I'm telling you, man, they want anybody else than the Edmonton Oilers.
Where would you play Frederick? It's getting closer now. Like, he's practiced again with the teams in the gray jersey. He's going to play next week at some point. Where would you slot him in his first game?
With everybody being back?
Yeah, like, I assume, like, let's say McDavid, Draisaitl, everybody but Kane. Anybody's available for the regular season.
I give him a look with Draisaitl. That's where I start him. I'm a little worried that, like, I like Frederick, man, and the reason they got him too is like this is a guy that fits into their plans to extend. I think they really want Trent Frederick to be here for the next number of years. I'm excited about him. I really like his game, but we also got to be very careful not to remember this guy's a middle six forward, right? Like, he brings you an element you probably don't have, and at the same time, they're not getting a Rick Tocchet in his prime here, right? So I think, we got to temper things a little bit, but I certainly give him a look with Leon Draisaitl. I mean, Draisaitl's line mates have been all over the place. I really like Podkolzin's game, but it doesn't equate to goals. And, Trent Frederick can score at this level. So I'd give him a look there. I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually figures in a spot with maybe McDavid and Hyman, or maybe he ends up being a stalwart on your third line. I hope he just gets back in time enough to give him a little runway, right? If we can get 5 or 6 games of Trent Frederick and let Knobloch move things around, I think we get a better idea. But I would definitely, like, his first shift in an Oiler uniform 5-on-5 should be with Leon Draisaitl. That's what I think.
I totally agree. And I like Podkolzin's game. He was excellent last night. I actually thought a lot of guys played. Yeah. He was very good last night. I thought Darnell Nurse had a hell of a game last night. And, Darnell Nurse has easily been the Oilers' most consistent defenseman all year long. And, his game right now, he's chipping in offensively, but, like that play he made to block the pass up and then cover it up with whatever it was, 15, 20 seconds left in the game. Like, Nurse has been really good. And he is a great skater. He's not relying on his speed as much. I feel he still uses it, but he's not jumping out to get guys. He's letting the play come to him more, and he's swallowed up a lot more rushes because of it.
He's playing the best hockey of his career. And part of it is he doesn't, like, he's probably not looking at his point totals, right? It's like, I need to score double-digit goals or whatever. Like, he's a good offensive defenseman. When the opportunity presents itself, sure, like, jump in, get the puck on the net, whatever. But Nurse is just really, he looks like such a mature player, right? It doesn't matter how much money he makes. It doesn't matter what people say. He plays his role, his game, and he's been really, really good. And, we talk about how certain guys have maybe been a little bit underwhelming. Like, listen, Evan Bouchard's still going to have 70 points. And which is crazy because he obviously has not been quite to the level that he was in the playoffs last year. But we also forget that certain guys, Nurse, Kulak, throw him in the mix, they've been better, right? So they kind of make up the difference a little bit. And if we believe there's a switch to be flipped, like if we get 2024 playoff Evan Bouchard in the postseason and Nurse continues doing what he's doing, that's scary. That's a scary defense group, right? I really like Wallman's game last night too.
Mm-hmm. Well, Wallman scored. The only disappointing thing for Oiler fans was they didn't pull out the gritty after he scored. Although it kind of hinted that he might retire it. We'll see. But if I'm Wallman,
it has to be a game. I think it has to be a game winner. I think that's where the gritties have come. Our game winners.
Yeah, maybe. Or if he's pulling out the gritty the first time, he's doing it on home ice.
Or you know what? Tomorrow night, man, in San Jose, if you go on Play Alberta, if you like your little bets, a Jake Wallman point tomorrow, lock it in, baby, against his former team. It's happening.
Yeah. Well, that's probably fair. Hey, the Sharks right now. Now, speaking of the Sharks tomorrow night, would you give young Rodrigue his first career start?
Yes, 100%.
Why?
Yeah, wow. I mean, listen, Skinner's not starting. And Pickard's getting some really good run, and he's been, and Pickard's been great. But like, you don't need these 2 points. Like, that's my belief. They should get them anyway. You should probably beat San Jose 3 times before the end of the season. With Rodrigue, like, he's come up, he's been thrown into a little action. I think you want to give him a chance. Hey, you're starting. Prepare yourself. The team will play hard in front of him. All that kind of stuff. And there's just no other time to do it. Like, they're going to need Calvin Pickard, and Calvin Pickard is going to play playoff games. Like, it's just going to happen. I think they'll need both their guys. But I just don't see a need to play Pickard for a third straight game tomorrow. It works on both levels, right? You give him a little bit of rest because you're probably starting, well, we'll see where Skinner is, but you're probably starting Pickard Saturday against LA, and then you have this prospect that you get to see for a game. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, see, I think like based on practice today, I think the coach is like, you know what? I want the win. I'm going with Pickard. He's going to play. I could see them giving Rodrigue the Anaheim start more than the San Jose start. Just, based on practice, I think San Jose is such a potential trap game that he's like, no, I'm going to send the message to our guys that we got to beat them because you got Vegas and then you got LA. And it's human nature to be like, okay, it's the Sharks are playing terrible. They just got lit up on the weekend. What, they gave up 15 goals in 2 games. Yeah. I know that last night they only limited to 3, so that's a win for them. But that's what I would guess. And when I looked at practice, it looked like Pickard was the starting goalie net. So I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be
That's interesting. And I kind of look at it the other way, right? Like if you want to get your guys' attention, you start the kid. Like who's going to leave your kid out to dry, right? But what do I know, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Like either, you're right though that it shouldn't matter who plays goal. Like if the Oilers limit the chances, like last night, Vegas didn't have Pickard. I thought made one really good save, and other than the Vegas first goal, like I don't think there was a lot of great. Well, I guess Dorovev when he missed the net. Maybe that was.
And the Eichel post early on the power play, that was a great chance that probably should have gone in too. But
on the power play, But Edmonton, I thought like you're going to give up chances, but they didn't give up a ton last night. And I think against the Sharks, who don't have the skill of Vegas, like if Edmonton just plays their game, it's probably fair to say, hey, maybe that's the best game to give Rodrigue. But I really think the Oilers are getting into playoff mode. And I think if Pickard starts, the coach is saying, guys, no nights off, nothing. We're ready to go. That's what I think. Maybe I'm reading between the lines wrong, but that's what I sense. Because like you saw Zach Hyman last night, like multiple shifts where he's just banging bodies and like their work ethic seems to be elevated here the last few games.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're seeing a little more. And again, we're getting to that time of the year. And thank God where goals matter, but we're not judging players on goals, right? Like last year, Janmark and Brown were heroes. They barely scored, but they were heroes because they killed penalties and got momentum. And, right now, Connor Brown's stick is as good as it's been all year. Like Victor Arvidsson is showing some signs of life, right? Like, so, that's a good thing. Meanwhile, San Jose, like, what a schedule. They got them 3 times the rest of the way. San Jose, like they're booking flights. Like their best players are Celebrini and Will Smith, who are coming off a college schedule, right? Like those guys are done. So done. They just want to get to the beach already. So, if you bring out a professional game, you should get 6 points against that club. And for Knobloch, like I just don't. This is my personal opinion. This is nobody else's, but like I don't care if they catch LA. Like I don't care. I don't really care about home ice. I think it's a little overrated, especially the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think it's who you play or where you play. I think it's how you play. And the number one thing for the Oilers, like you're not winning the division, you're not competing for the Western Conference title like maybe some people thought they would. For Edmonton, it's just about getting your house in order. Like that's it. I don't care where they finish anymore.
So we'll be tuning into the pre and post game tomorrow, and we'll find out who is starting in goal, and we'll see which one of us.
It's in 11:30 pregame, midnight puck drop. Very excited for it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Late games on the way. Oh, I love San Jose. Like they should ban bottom of the hour midweek game time.
Oh my God! And watch too. I guarantee you they'll be like, tonight we honor Kelly Kissio, and like they'll do a ceremony, and the first puck drop will be like 17 minutes later.
Oh yeah, the lovely 8:47 puck drop. Good times. Good times. Awesome. Thanks, Walks. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, Craig. Have a good show.
There you go. That's Andrew Walker, pre and post game host here on Sports 1440. Cons, who do you think he starts in goal? I'm saying Pickard.
I kind of like the argument from both sides. In the past, I've said I trust the judgment of the coaching staff. I would go Calvin Pickard, though. I think you got to ride this momentum. He's playing good hockey. Have a conversation with him. I'm sure he's not going to turn down starts at this point. So I go Calvin Pickard in this one. Although it would be cool to see a young guy get his first start, I'm still leaning to the vet. Got to get win.
I think I could see him starting in Anaheim. I could see that.
So Monday, right?
Monday, yeah.
Yep.
I could see that start. And so we it'll be interesting to see how, ultimately it's not going to matter. If the Oilers play, like if it comes down to the goalie tomorrow night, there's bigger issues for the Oilers. Let's just say that.
I'd say so.
That is not a game where your goalie really should be a factor in the game. Like just, hey, make the saves you should make. They should be more than fine. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Huge news today in the CFL. The new commissioner. What's going to be priority number one? We'll find out next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Or someone you care for injured in a motor vehicle accident, please listen up. I'm Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physiotherapy, and let me proudly say that we won't be the place your insurer tells you to go. We won't be the place because we don't sign agreements with the insurance company. We don't work for them, we work for you. We do want to be the place that your friends, family, and other medically trained professionals send you. So if your insurance company says that you have to see their therapist, you should know that's not true. You have the right to choose where you go, and we hope you choose us. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
I'm tired of waking up tired. Are you tired of waking up tired? Come visit our sleep experts at the Brick Mattress Store. Get Canada's guaranteed lowest prices on all things sleep. Plus, try your new mattress for 6 months. If you don't love it, we'll find one you do. Some conditions apply. Stop waking up tired. Get the right mattress, guaranteed. Only at the Brick Mattress Store.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. Don't miss the Champions Luncheon on Friday, April 25th at the Edmonton Convention Center. Tables are on sale now. This year's event is hosted by accomplished sports journalist and author Scott Morrison and features the legendary locker room tales of Mike Keenan. Iron Mike grew from a highly respected NHL player to one of the most passionate coaches in hockey history. For more information or to purchase your Champions Luncheon table, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
At Fountain Tire, our focus is taking care of your vehicle. Your focus? Saving up to 25% off select tires. Plus, getting up to a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires until April 26th. So we both win. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small-town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends.
Stop by the showroom throughout March and April for all the details about Nisku Ford's Keys for 10K giveaway. Just imagine the spring trips, plans, and projects you could pay for.
The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
She says she's no good.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tastings and 2-4s for May long. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X and Instagram. Thanks as always for listening and watching. Lovely day outside. We're still here in the dungeon as recovering from illness. So I think we'll be back in studio tomorrow, hopefully. On the mend today. Haven't had any major attacks. Don't feel that bad anymore. So it's good. Almost out of it, which is nice. Now let's get to our CFL report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They're hiring. You want to work for a fantastic company, you get hiring bonus, RSP matching, get tuition reimbursement, and very competitive wages, all for a great company. Check it out at legacyheating.ca. That's where you can apply. Farhan Lalji from the CFL on TSN joins us, and big news in the CFL as there is a new commissioner. And we are going to see the 15th commissioner of the CFL, of course, Stuart Johnson, formerly of TSN, is the new commish. Farhan, you worked with Stuart side by side, so I guess you would know him quite well. What is the CFL getting as their new commissioner?
Oh, I think it's exciting, Jason. First of all, I mean, you've got a guy that understands the league. And, you know, when Randy Ambrosie did it, and I think Randy did a really good job, he had played in the league, but he didn't necessarily have a huge involvement in the league from a business standpoint going into the job, right? So you still have a lot to learn and kind of figure out where the league's place is and things of that nature. Whereas Stu knows, right? I mean, he deals with the league intimately, on the rights, on the content, on all of it, right? And when you look at his career path at TSN and just kind of where he's gone, because he wasn't just the president of TSN. Like, his last spot was on the Bell side and, you know, managing content across all of Bell's platforms. So he has a real understanding of not just the business of it, but how you want to present the league and where the best opportunities lie for it are going forward. So I think he brings a unique skill set relative to anybody we've had in the commissioner's chair for quite some time.
Now, you mentioned on all the platforms, because I look at the CFL and I still feel like they're missing potential on their online, on their page. And like I've said it for years, they should have a page. Why the CFL? Don't put the numbers out. I don't care about the money. But at bare minimum, you should have a page that says each team, these are the contracts, this is when they end. So fans know when guys' contracts are out. I don't care about the salary. That's irrelevant to me, because you know what? Whatever. And if you want it, sure. But at bare minimum, they should have, like, there's lots of things, there's areas to improve in the CFL here that could really engage more of their fans on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, for sure, right? And look, I don't necessarily understand all of it. You always impress me so much because you found a way over the course of your career to just kind of evolve as technology evolves and as the industry evolves, right? And you've managed to kind of stay on top of it. So that's been great, right? And when you see kind of where the trends are, I mean, it's not as simple as just saying, hey, we got a television deal that we got to negotiate before 2026 comes up. We've got, you know, like, what's television even going to look like in the next 10 years? Excuse me, I'm like, I got dogs running around here. We'll get away from it really quick. Holy cow. You know, so the best part about doing your show is I don't have to get in front of my own screen and be on camera. I can take my dog for a walk and we get to talk about television. But yeah, you know, there's different ways to engage. And when you look at some of the platforms that, you know, we are currently using, it's not just traditional television, right? So we all know where this thing, you know, we don't know where this thing is going to wind up and where the best places are to get audience engagement. So I think Stu's been able to kind of see through the forest, as it were, right? And kind of know where those trends are and where to best position the league going forward for the next little bit here. So it'll be really interesting to just have that perspective in that chair, to have a television guy that understands where the industry is going, where the league needs to go, where sports is going, right? I mean, I know that they had Jeffrey Orridge for a brief period of time, and he had a background with the CBC, but just kind of what he did there versus what Stu is doing here is entirely different. So I'm curious to see where he takes it.
What do you think should be priority number one for the new commission?
Oh boy. Well, obviously the TV deal is going to be a big part of it, but I want to see where they go, you know, on the gaming side, right? I mean, I get the sense that there was a lot of excitement around sports betting when the laws changed in this country. But I don't know that the league has truly monetized that in large numbers yet. There's deals with FanDuel and on the TSN side, and they've got other partners at the league level. But what more can they do to create engagement on that side? They've kind of made a bit of an attempt with fantasy. Is there another level for that to go to? The in-game product in terms of live betting, and just the data, right? Because I know that when the Genius piece came on board, a lot of the data was supposed to be integrated into the broadcast so that not only do you figure out, hey, how fast this guy's going and what his maximum speed is, but are there other things in there that could create more engagement that might be that might manifest itself on the betting side? So I'm curious to see where that goes, both in terms of during the week, 24/7, 365, but also in game, and whether or not there's a few more things to take advantage of on that side.
Farhan, there doesn't seem like there's any real big fires that he has to put out, and that hasn't always been the case, in previous years. So I think there's more opportunity for him to come in and focus on some positive things. The Edmonton ownership group is now in place, and it's obviously very solid with Larry Thompson. And, you look at kind of where teams are going. I want to get your thoughts on, the news out of BC and that they're over the cap and they're losing 2 draft picks.
Yeah, and you mentioned fires. We'll start there. And the biggest thing that Randy Ambrosie has done, and he even talked about it when he announced his resignation, was that ownership-wise, the league's never been in a better place, right? Like there aren't those fires like we had early in his tenure with Montreal and things of that nature. Now it's, you can move forward with people that are willing to invest in their franchises and invest in the product at a league level, right? So, I think that matters. And you were talking about the cap. Look, hate to say it, but committed owner, right? And that's kind of what happens. I don't know that this was a complete surprise, because back when they brought Rourke back and then signed Betts late in the summer, we knew what it meant, right? I mean, they were operating at the top of the cap coming into it. And then all of a sudden you want to bring in those 2 salaries. So the 300,000 number doesn't really surprise me. I remember being on the field talking to Neil McAvoy and Ryan Rigmaiden about this a year ago. And I think their hope was, can we do enough, in and around the cap with other players and things like that we can get it under 300,000. And that way it's only 1 draft pick. And the fines would also be a little less. It'd be under $500,000. But it turned out that because of some injuries they had later in the year, there was just no way for them to do that. So they wind up being over 300,000. It's 2 picks, which is certainly unfortunate for them. But they went into it with their eyes wide open. They knew that as a real possibility, and a significant fine. The weird part for me was that how Calgary was able to benefit by gaining both of those picks. I thought that was a little odd, right? So you get an extra top 10 pick and then an extra top 20 pick. That part didn't necessarily make sense to me, but the Lions certainly deserve to be fined.
Yeah. No, that's totally valid. And I guess it's a benefit for Calgary, and we'll see how it pans out. What do you make of this year's draft, Farhan? We always hear, hey, good draft, bad draft, average draft. How would you rank this one? I've heard from some that, it's not necessarily a great draft.
Well, look, I don't think the draft is bad, but I do think there's kind of a gap there after the first, somewhere between, probably number 12 to 15, kind of in there. There's a bit more value above that number. And I think people, sometimes you go to the combine and you can overreact because of the number of players that aren't at the combine. And so I went to the combine, I looked at that and I'm like, okay, well, we got like 1 really good O-lineman, and he kind of dinged himself up after the testing period. So he didn't really do much in one-on-ones. There was a D lineman everybody was excited to see. Similar thing happened. So you can tend to overreact. But I do think there's some more value with the number of guys that were dealing with their NCAA pro days in the U.S. that didn't take part in the combine. I think that there are more players there, but it's not like the traditional draft, right, where there was just a lot of depth along the offensive line. I think even when you add the NCAA players back in, I don't think it's a tremendous offensive line class. I think the strength of the draft is a defensive line and a defensive back. I think there's depth at both of those positions. That showed itself at the combine, but then also, like I said, with the other players that are available. And then, the quarterback part certainly intrigues me, right? Because if you're Curtis Rourke and Taylor Elgersma, there's going to be some sort of NFL opportunity that they get, and they're not going to come right away. But, do they eventually wind up making their way back to this league? And could we wind up with, just think about it, right? In 3 years, could we have 4 Canadian starting quarterbacks in this league? Right? Like, that would be incredible, wouldn't it? Now, you don't know what that looks like until down the road, but that's also intriguing, just the quarterback options available in this draft, which we don't normally get.
Well, that was my last question. I love that you're setting me up for it. You look at when the Elks took Trey Ford, and I know that the organization even tried to get him to switch positions, and he didn't. And I think smart for Trey Ford to stand his ground in that regard. But you look at the quarterbacks, and it just spurs on more players to think, hey, I don't have to switch positions at a young age because I can make it, right, as a Canadian quarterback. So I think this is huge, and we might not see that for a while. But you mentioned the quarterback. Where do you think they're going to go?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one team that really needs to take a look at it is Winnipeg, because you got to start thinking about life after Zach Collaros. Yes. So if you can time that up, that you can get a couple of more years out of Zach and then eventually get that player that comes back to you and falls back, and it wouldn't shock me to see Calgary make that kind of move, because, it's not just that Vernon's not getting any younger, but more importantly, they're not going to have 4 top 20 picks, right? So you can't sign all of those guys. Right. And that's one of the things with the draft. You got to think, they've got 4. Well, those guys don't come in and make an instant impact. But if you have to sign them to first-round draft pick deals or second-round draft pick deals, that becomes difficult. So they'll take a future. Now, there are some other futures that'll be available, but it's not as deep a future class, meaning players that are going to sign or get drafted into the NFL. There's only 2 that are going to get drafted, and maybe a couple others that sign. So, for them to take a guy like Elgersma or Rourke, I think to me would make a lot of sense for a guy that might roll back to you in about 3 years. And at that point, Vernon Adams is done, and now you've kind of got the next guy there in position. So I think those are kind of the intriguing spots for me, for sure.
Farhan, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy your walk.
And get well soon. Get back in studio, bud.
You betcha. That's Farhan Lalji from TS. And so Stuart Johnson, the commissioner of the CFL, and no major fires to put out, which I think is, he's coming in at a good time. But and it's always, you have the commissioner, but do you have an ownership group who is willing to invoke change? That's always the challenge. And Johnson, has experience, on the media side. I still believe when I look at the CFL, there's lots of little areas in just self-promotion that they could be better at. And I would like, they got it. Their website has to be better. It's 2025, man. It's gotten a little bit better, but like live stats in the game, all those sorts of things, like you got to have that stuff. And I think work in unison with someone if people are constantly searching for your product online, that means they're engaged. Okay, that's just a fact. It means they're engaged, and that's what you want. And the CFL goes without any engagement for far too long. That's something they need to look at. 2:59. When we return, coming up, we have Kevin McGran. Will talk about a huge game tonight in the East. It could almost make it a 2-horse race if the one team wins. So we'll get to that. Also, we'll get a little scouting report on the players you order side. Now, none of these guys are coming here next year, right? But you got a younger guy and then an older vet who has signed a one-way deal. So now we have people saying, is this guy going to be Gaetan Haas? I think more offensive upside than Gaetan Haas, but I'm also not expecting him to come in here and just like blow the doors off. Like, you kind of be realistic. I think if he's a center, then best case scenario is he's going to be your third line center. Like that's best case. But if Nugent Hopkins you think is a center now, well then he's a fourth line center, right? And then what does that mean with Henrique? So we'll see, but we'll get to that. Also, we'll talk a little MLB, and we might even get into a little television when we return after Connor Halley in a Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire, where, hey, you know what? They're going to look after you, and they're going to look after your wallet. You can get 25% off when you get a select set of 4 tires and an additional $120 mail-in rebate. Book your tires today at fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers making some moves today, signing Swedish Hockey League leading scorer David Tomasek to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract for next season. Also, Josh Szymanski to a 2-year entry-level deal beginning in 2025-2026. Szymanski, 6'5", 190-pound center, had 14 goals, 26 helpers in 52 games this season in Germany. On the ice tonight, 5 games. You got the Wild and the Rangers. Canes host the Caps. Maple Leafs taking on the Panthers. Avs in Chicago. And the Canucks host the Kraken from the CFL. Stuart Johnson is the new commissioner. The league made the move official earlier today, introducing Johnson as the 15th commissioner in league history, succeeding Randy Ambrosie. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays are in action heading into the 7th in Toronto. They lead the Nationals 4-1. Elsewhere, Cubbies up on the Athletics 8-2. The Giants have a 5-1 lead over the Astros. Guardians trail the Padres 4-0. Mariners lead the Tigers 2-0. And the Mets up on the Marlins 1-0. Later tonight, you've got Dodgers, Braves, Yankees, Diamondbacks, Red Sox, Orioles, and the Phillies host the Rockies. Earlier on this afternoon, Cards knocked off the Angels 12-5. Brewers passed the Royals 3-2 in extras. Rays followed home to the Pirates 4-2. And it was a thriller as the Rangers knocked off the Reds 1-0. In the association tonight, you got the Heat taking on the Celtics, Pacers, Hornets, Knicks, and Cavaliers. Mavs host the Hawks. Thunder taking on the Pistons, and the Pelicans in LA for meeting with the Clippers. The Edmonton Oil Kings looking to make a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Prince Albert Raiders tonight down at Rogers Place, leading 2-1. Puck drop in this one set for 7 o'clock. And in the PWHL tonight, you got Boston taking on Ottawa. That gets going just after 5. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Kevin McGran, talk with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
At Fountain Tire, our focus is taking care of your vehicle. Your focus? Saving up to 25% off select tires. Plus, getting up to a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires until April 26th. So we both win. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Mr. Rooter hits the lick. So I tell the guy it's leaking because you have a hole-in-one.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you have a better chance of hitting the green with a crescent wrench, you bum.
Oh, boy. It's my rival, Mr. Plunger.
You swing a club like you plumb. Lousy.
Lousy, eh? Hey, Mr. Plunger, there's a clog down there that even you could fix.
For a plumber you can trust, call Mr. Rooter.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with a tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
With the lead up to the playoffs underway, players are definitely stepping up their game.
And the fans are doing the same. Simple snacks like chips and dip may work at the front half of the season, but now more and more fans are rocking the Wilhauk beef jerky for game time get-togethers.
Just make sure you bring enough for everyone if you want to be invited back for the playoffs.
Make your next hockey game day a Will Hockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win games with
Hockey is very common. Of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
She said she too young.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back on a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Coming up, Rich Winter in the Business of Sports next hour. Also, we will have assistant GM. We'll have a little salary capology, but also, hey, do you want to become a GM? You want to become an assistant GM? Not everybody is going to get to be an NHL player. Let's be honest. 99.5% of people aren't, but you love hockey. And so we always try to get on different roles in the hockey world and how you can work your way up into it. Obviously having a background now, maybe you can be in the analytics side. That's obviously an option, right? How do you get into management? So, well, obviously got to be a scout, but how do you even get into scouting? So we'll talk about that coming up at 4 o'clock today. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can text us in our UL inbox. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. It's your one-stop shop, whether you like the casinos, you like lotteries, you want dealer, or just want to see if you know who's going to win. Do it all at PlayAlberta.ca. We've got a lot of text to get to. The Edmonton Oilers, Jack Michaels tweeting this out. So we do have the answer to our question, and it's going to be Calvin Pickard. According to, head coach Chris Knobloch said that Pickard will start tomorrow in San Jose. I don't think Rodrigue would start on Saturday against the LA Kings. So the Anaheim game, I get it. Like, I could see both sides. And I'm sure some people are going to freak out because, Pickard is starting tomorrow. Why? You got to give it to the kid. You got to give it to the kid. And I think they have a plan. The fact that Stuart Skinner isn't on the road trip tells me he's not going to be on the road trip. Now, they could play Pickard in every game, or maybe you play, you give the last game of the road trip to Olivier Rodrigue. We'll see. You could easily play Pickard in every game. It's not like he can't play, that many games in a row. It wouldn't be difficult. So, but there you go. According to Knobloch, courtesy of Jack Michaels, it'll be Calvin Pickard starting tomorrow against the San Jose Sharks, who are they're struggling, man. They got a lot of young players. Their coach is playing him like I looked like Will Smith played 25 minutes last night against the Ducks. Now, if you're going to play Smith and Celebrini that much against Draisaitl, it's going to be a long night. I know they're good young players, but it's Leon Draisaitl, so a little different than playing the Anaheim Ducks, I would think. Hey, boys, I was in the States the last couple of weeks and caught an NHL game one night on TNT. Biz Nasty, Darren Pang, and the crew, between periods, they were discussing Hart Trophy candidates. All they talked about was it would be McKinnon or Kucherov. Zero mention of Leon or even Hellebuck. Do the Oilers or Jets games not get broadcast into the States? From Duncan. Well, that would seem very odd. Now, maybe that was at a time when Draisaitl was hurt, and so they weren't sure how long. And so now guys are like, oh, he's not playing, so he's definitely out of it. Me personally, I've said it, for Hellebuck to be in the Hart, like, he has to have unreal season. And he's had good numbers, right, from goaltending, but it's not like out of this world. So I've never thought Hellebuck was like a top 2 or 3 candidate for me. But Leon Draisaitl, I think is the favorite right now. You just look at, in a season where no one else is really scoring goals. Like, do you know how many 40 goal scorers there are right now in the NHL. Right? 40 goal scorers. There's 2. So there's only one 50-goal scorer. Now, Tage Thompson, Ovechkin, we could end up with, probably 7, 8 40-goal scorers when it's said and done. But you're probably not, unless Nylander scores 8 goals in his final 8 games, there's only going to be one 50-goal man. And Leon Draisaitl, the Oilers have what? 8 games left. Is he going to score 4 goals in 8 games? He's got 52 and 70, so that wouldn't seem like a real stretch. Then he would set a career high, gets to 56. He's probably going to get to 110 points. You look at his defensive game. You look at his, his overall 5-on-5 numbers. It's hard to me. Like, I know that Kucherov and McKinnon have more points than him. They've obviously played more games. But I'd be hard pressed when goal scoring is still the hardest thing to do. And the other thing is, look at Draisaitl in the games where McDavid hasn't played. So McDavid's missed 10 games so far this year. In the 7 games that Draisaitl played where McDavid didn't play, he's got 15 points. So in games without McDavid, he's averaging over 2 points a game. I'm not sure what else needs to be said for me. So, hey guys, I think everything hinges on the LA game. You lose that one, you're probably home ice is done, and then you can start the rookie in Anaheim. Yeah, maybe. I'm sure they have a plan and a strategy as to what they're doing. They're not going to share it exactly, but I could see both arguments. Hey, if we play the rookie, everybody's going to. Now, there's 2 things. Maybe the team's like, hey guys, the rookie's playing, we got to be really good, or the rookie's playing because it's San Jose and they're terrible. So, if you play him against Anaheim, Anaheim's given the Oilers trouble this year. And now I got to look it up, but didn't Anaheim light up Pickard last time? And so that's why maybe they don't want to play Pickard against Anaheim. They're going to go with the rookie in that game. I could actually see that. So that argument probably does make sense. Anaheim's given Edmonton trouble. So the team wouldn't look at it like, oh, geez, coach is giving the rookie the easy start. He's like, geez, we got the rookie playing, and the Ducks have given us trouble this year. We better wake up. So either way, see how it goes. Hey, boys, would you rather be the Blackhawks or the Sharks? Who is in better shape moving forward? From Bones. It's a good question. I really like Celebrini. Obviously, I like Bedard. There's Will Smith. There's Vlasic on the back end. Rinzel. Chicago. Both teams have some young guys. Both teams have a lot of cap space. Chicago has a little bit more flexibility up until Vlasic's deal's done. He only has 1 year left on that deal. The Sharks will be able to retain at least one salary next year in a trade if they want to, acquire somebody or keep him. Right, or sorry, just retain somebody's salary. It makes it a little bit easier in trades. They both have goalies at like Knight, Skarhoff. It's a good question. It might come down to who gets the number 1 pick. Lots of people really like the Schaefer defenseman. Now I know that Chicago's GM was on record saying we're not going to take a defenseman, which I found quite odd. Why would you say that? Now maybe you just say it for sake of it, but it seemed a rather odd thing to say when they got some good young D-men, don't get me wrong, but if he's the best player, don't you take the best player, Connor?
I think so. I mean, you're trying to improve your team, and if someone is going to be head and shoulders, I mean, that's kind of a strategy we see in the NFL draft a lot, right? Are you in a situation where you can go best player available, or do you just address a certain need? I think you go best player available. There's other options to find ways to kind of plug that lineup and improve your team, whether it be free agency or via trade. When it comes to the draft, I mean, don't take a lesser player because you might need another position more. I'm steady team, BPA, best player available.
Yeah, unless you think that Misa is just as good as Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they're different players, different positions, I should say. Also different players, of course. But it's an interesting question. I'm not sure there's a glaring right answer. I think they both have a pretty good prospect pool. Some might like Chicago's prospects a little bit better. Chicago might have a little bit better defense prospects. I could argue that I think San Jose might have better forward prospects. So we'll see. Hey, guys, last night Subban was talking about how Kucherov's the best player in the NHL. Well, Kucherov's a really good player. Don't get me wrong. I think that he probably gets overlooked a little bit at times, in Tampa Bay. He's a winger. He's never scored 50 goals, but Kucherov is really good. When I look at MVP, though, and he doesn't take the face-offs, Draisaitl does. It's like the defensive zone starts that Draisaitl does. So to me, those are other things that you have to factor in. But Kucherov's a top 5 player in the game all day. It's not even a question, right? I think the top 4 players in the game are McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, and Kucherov. Top 4 forwards, right? Cale Makar goes in that conversation probably as top 5. That's who I would have. I don't know if anybody has anybody else you put in there. But I don't put Quinn Hughes ahead of Makar because they both play defense. They're both super mobile. Makar scores more goals. Makar is 2 goals shy of becoming only the 9th defenseman to score 30 goals in a season. He would become the 2nd guy to do it in the last 28 years. Mike Green did it back in 08-09 when he had 31. And Makar's pretty young. The only guys to have multiple 30-goal seasons, Denny Potvin had 3, Paul Coffey had 4, Ray Bourque had 5. No, sorry, Bobby Orr had 5. Ray Bourque had 1. Bobby Orr had 5, Coffey 4, Potvin 3. And then you had a bunch of guys, Kevin Hatcher, Mike Green, Phil Housley, Ray Bourque, Doug Wilson each had 1. And Makar's 2 goals shy. Pretty good chance he's going to get there before the end of the season. So I put Makar in that top 5 category, but I really like Kucherov a lot. I think he's probably a little bit underrated at times because I know some people didn't like what he did at the All-Star game. I don't care. Right? It's the All-Star game. That's his personality for sure. But man, when the game's on the line, that guy is good. He's really good. Now, the one thing Draisaitl has on him, better goal scorer. So there you go. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. When we come back, huge game. And there's lots every night. That's what I love about now. The Oilers Sharks game isn't a huge game. It's good. It's a big game for Edmonton in the race for home ice advantage. But we're talking some huge games for teams that are on the playoff cusp. Others just trying to avoid a bad matchup. And we'll get to it tonight. There's clearly one game of the night. We'll talk about it next. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC.
Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this truck month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
The Ford It's a Big Deal event is on now, and it's a great time to get a big deal on a 2025 Bronco Sport Big Bend. Visit your Alberta Ford store today.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. In fact, they're as Edmontonian as dodging potholes in the spring. It requires a steady hand and extreme focus. Ironically, the same skills for cutting metal to your precise measurements. Now, can someone please give me a yee-haw? Yeah. Thank you, sir. The local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital and Echo Pro Attachment Series. With one power head and 16 different attachments, the Echo PAS powers through almost any spring cleanup job. And speaking of power, Echo now has a battery-powered power head that uses the same attachments as gas. Find out how commercial landscapers can save 20% for 24 months with the Landscaper Fleet Discount Program. See lawnmowerhosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Blue Jays baseball is back
on Sports 1440.
This Saturday and Sunday. Listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.23. Welcome back. Wednesday afternoon, Sports 1440. Happy Hump Day. The Gregor Show is always presented by playalberta.ca. Deceptive. It looks great outside, but it's not as warm as you would think. It's April now. We can, we had our big snowfall. Great. Now let's get the melt on and let's get some greens going. Should be good. Masters next weekend. Ooh, can't wait. Let's go around the NHL now. Brought to you by McDonald's, their McValue meal. Of course, you can get starting at under $4 for the Junior McChicken Cheeseburger Deluxe, and you get the meal, fries and a drink for only $5.99. The McValue meals only at McDonald's. And we talked about big games in the National Hockey League. You've got some teams. The Rangers, obviously, they need a win. They're in a race for their lives. The Capitals and Hurricanes, they're both locked in. The race there is the Ovi goal chase race. Avs are locked in. The Blackhawks are done. Kraken are done. The Canucks now mathematically got a chance, but let's be honest. They got no chance. They're not making the playoffs. So the game of the night, without question, will be happening in Toronto tonight. The Panthers and the Maple Leafs, as 2 points separate the top three teams in the Atlantic. The Maple Leafs have 94. The Lightning have 93. The Panthers have 92. They all have 8 games remaining. And Kevin McGran joins us from Toronto, where, this is it. I know what they're going to say. It's kind of like a playoff game, Kevin, and I know it's not, but it has lots of playoff implications. Kevin, this is a big game. These are the games like the Leafs are going to be judged on. Everybody's like, oh, hey, it's all about the playoffs. Well, you can make an argument with them playing tonight, and then they play the Panthers and the Lightning next week. It's kind of like almost like a play-in tournament amongst these three teams to see who gets home ice.
Well, yes, it is, and thanks for having me on here from snowy Toronto. It certainly has playoff implications in terms of who's going to finish where and avoid the other team from Florida. Because I think nobody wants to play anybody from Florida. So if they can just play each other, that'd be fine here in Ontario. There is some implication tonight. If the Leafs get a point, they will clinch a playoff berth for the 9th straight year. They're the only team that's the longest active streak. That's sort of one of those math things, because then Montreal and Columbus can't pass them. So they've clinched. So yes, lots of implications for the Leafs in the next 2 weeks. How do they measure up against the teams that have basically always had their number in the playoffs is sort of how it's framed here. But it's a kind of a different team and a different look. And all three teams are gunning for first overall. You can kind of feel it. And maybe the easier path to the second round. How the Ottawa Senators feel about that. But lots of little implications going on in the top of the standings here, and kind of a treat, because the Florida Panthers, I love the way they play hockey, and the Leafs have sort of tried to emulate that, and see if they get it right tonight.
Now, you look at Toronto. Do you think they have more to gain and more to lose by finishing first and then not finishing first?
Well, I think they have the most to gain by finishing first. And I think if they don't finish first, you at least want to finish second so you have home ice. Because the one year they won around, they actually finished ahead of Tampa and got that one series in that they did. For the Maple Leafs, I believe in the numbers. Finishing first matters. First win of a 7-game series matters. All of those things. So, they got to do it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like I look, and when I say more to lose, because if they finish third, they got to go on the road, and they'd have to go on the road once, probably on the road the second time. And, Tampa and Florida, the two teams that have been in the Stanley Cup Finals the last 5 years, representing the Eastern Conference. Like everybody knows what Toronto's issue hasn't been in the regular season. Their issue has been in the playoffs. And Kevin, it's really been when you break it all down, when you look at what Barkov and Tkachuk did, then you look at what McKinnon and Makar have done, and then you look at what Draisaitl and McDavid have done, and you look at Eichel when they won. Like the stars of those teams, they elevate their games and they get more points in the playoffs. And historically, the Big Four in Toronto, their regular season points per game are all higher than their playoff points per game. And so until that changes, I'm not sure Toronto's going to have success. Do you think the Big Four have shown you something this year that their playoffs will be better?
Well, I mean, you've got two of the Big Four, John Tavares and Mitch Marner, playing for a contract. So they've got eyes on them sort of all of the time. What are they going to do? And if they don't do it in Toronto this spring, then they're probably not doing it in Toronto ever again. Because I can imagine that's just the easiest way for the team to reshape its roster and to try to look for a different look. But yeah, I have seen the team play very differently. Certainly, the last couple of weeks, they look like the Craig Berube's message of playing hard hitting, hard checking, forechecking, dump and chase, straight line hockey is getting through, and I think they're ready to do it. Tavares himself has been on fire since, I guess, the month of March. And Mitch Marner's playing with a chip on the shoulder. Austin Matthews hasn't been himself, but he has been sort of lately. He hasn't really needed to be the goal a game guy because they've gotten enough offense, and William Nylander has elevated his game this year. But you're absolutely right. Unless and until they do it in the playoffs, And they have done it sort of individually through the playoffs, but just not all four at the same time coming through. Like Tavares had a great series against Tampa. He was injured against Montreal, didn't play. There was a whole bunch of like weird little things. Nylander and Matthews were injured last year against Boston. They didn't play. They missed 5 games between them or something like that. So they've got a lot. The narrative around them has to change. They can't just be great regular season players and do nothing in the playoffs. They know that. And maybe this is the year. But this has been, I'm not sure, maybe it gets overplayed because it's in Toronto, but I think it gets underplayed. But this is a massive division to try to get through. This is a hard division. They sent 2 Stanley Cup. They sent 2 teams to the Stanley Cup final one year. That Montreal played Tampa that one year when we were all in our COVID world. So they've had, since Boston, a representative of this team has been in the Stanley Cup final every year since 2019. I guess that was St. Louis, Boston. So it's a tough division to get through.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And now, how has Carlo fit in since coming over from Boston?
Well, he's been terrific, I think. It is an easier fit for him than Scott Laughton, it turns out. Carlo is at long range. He's tough. That's one thing about the Maple Leafs this year. They tended to try to bring in toughness at the deadline, and now they've had enough guys that were tough that's just part of the DNA. So Tanev and McCabe and Domi that all play with an edge. There's more guys playing with an edge, and Carlo plays with that edge too. So he's more appropriate to the team. He's just not he's not an add-on. He's sort of fitting into the DNA, and I really do like his game. It's pretty simple. He moves the puck well. That's not necessarily something that you thought about him doing, but he certainly has no issues moving that puck. And with the size, and he's the 11th guy this year for the team to drop the gloves and fight. So there's certainly a sense that the Leafs are going to stand up for themselves. They're not going to get pushed around the way they did maybe the first 4 or 5 years of their turn into the playoffs.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson, arguably, I think, was Florida's best defenseman in the playoffs last year. He's kind of on their third pair, but do they kind of just play 5 defensemen more in Toronto? Is that what we're seeing, or is Oliver Ekman-Larsson really a third pairing guy?
Well, in Toronto, he's a third pairing guy. I mean, he does play with Morgan Riley a little bit. It doesn't normally go well when those two are together, but playing with Simone Benoit on the bottom pair, I was kind of impressed with Oliver Ekman-Larsson because I didn't know that he had the edge to the game that he has, and he's got an edge to him. And he's not necessarily worried anymore about points and passing and playing power play and stuff like that. He doesn't get those chances, but he does play with a physical edge, and when he's doing that, he's actually really terrific. He can kind of be intimidating. He's a big guy, and I hadn't really given him the credit for remaking his game in that way. But I gather he did when he was in Florida last year, and it worked for him.
When you look, you mentioned Laughton, and I noticed he scored a goal finally, and that'll probably relieve a little bit of stress from him. And I had a chat, conversation with Connor Brown. He knows Scott Laughton; they're very close friends, and he said there's 2 ways to look at when you play in Canada. Like all the eyes are on you, and it's just a different feel. Like everywhere you go, everybody knows. He says, but man, it's actually more fun. Some people like to say it's worse. Oh, you want to be in a no. Mark goes, if you want to win, you want to be able to play in a Canadian market. How's Laughton adjusting to that?
Well, I think he loves it. Like, I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes in his life that probably contributed to a slower start. Like, first off, he wanted to be a Leaf so much that he probably started off gangbusters and just did way too much and got into trouble, right? He just wanted to impress and be that. And then there was other stuff that was happening that his wife and toddler son or newborn son couldn't get out of their home. I think they had trouble trying to get up. They didn't know where to live here in Toronto. It was all kinds of weird things that were kind of wearing on him. Like he was, he's a family man first and foremost, and he was stripped of his family living in a hotel in Toronto. So I think the things that are the anchors of his life, the routines of his life, weren't there for him, and now they were. And as soon as they got into town, his game took off. So he is that guy. Like, I agree with what Connor Brown said, and for those that don't know, Connor Brown and Scott Laughton played together from minor hockey on up, and was Connor Brown's dad. Dan that coached both boys, and Mike Adam Pellick as well. So yeah, they've got long roots, and I Connor Brown, I thought he was a really, really good Leaf. I hated to see him get traded the way he did, and I think Scott Lawton is sort of the same mold that this is what he wants, and so now he has it, and he's going to do the best with it.
Who do you think is going to be the Leafs starting goalie day one of the playoffs, and will they both play in the opening round?
I would imagine it's going to be Anthony Stolarz. I think he's kind of earned that. I still think it could be up for grabs, but I also agree both are playing, and they will be very quick to go with both. I think if you look at their numbers, especially Joseph Wall, I think you'll see that they play better on more rest. So if they alternate game one, one gets the even number of games, the other gets the odd number of games, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But they could also go switch at a loss and then switch at a loss and go like that. So I wouldn't be surprised, and it's not going to be like the way the two of them have played. They built up, some credibility with the fans. They've put in a pretty good season, all things considered. So it's not going to be a narrative where like the coach has lost faith in goalie A, switching to the desperation move to goalie B. It's going to be, it's like it's a march. Guy plays two, then the other guy plays two, and everybody be fine with it. I don't think it'll be a tire fire. It will be if they like lose 7-2 or something like that. But I think they truly do have faith in both goalies, and I truly do think they want both goalies to play.
Well, and to me, I still look back at that Boston record-breaking season, and I think they erred by going away. Their goalies hadn't played more than 2 starts in a row in like 5 months, and then suddenly you went to one guy. I still thought that was a mistake by the Bruins, and it'll take a team. Like if you don't have a Hellebuck or a Vasilevsky all year, and you've had guys that are close to 50-50, why? Like that's what allowed your team to win all regular season. Why wouldn't you continue to do it?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I agree with you completely. And your analysis on that Boston year, I think that was a problem too. And last year, Boston tried to rebound from it because they started against Toronto they went with Swayman, and then they moved to Ullmark, and Ullmark was the game the Leafs won. So then they kind of, got the Leafs back in it, sort of thing. I personally, I think both are going to play. I think one will play 4 games, the other play 3. And of course, you can always turn around your questions. It's not so much who's going to play game 1, but which one would play game 7. Yeah.
And lastly, Kevin, if they had to pick, do they match up better this year against Tampa or Florida?
Oh, they match up pretty good against Tampa. They really do. Florida, I still think, is a very physical team that, with Brad Marchand there now, it feels like Florida and Boston are ganging up on Toronto with Brad Marchand on that team. I think for whatever reason they've had Tampa's number, and they're not. Bobrovsky's had their number, but they've been able to score in Tampa. It doesn't matter who's in net, and I think they feel really good against Tampa. And one weird thing, the best player on the ice when they play Tampa is Matt Nyes. He just loves beating Tampa. It's kind of a weird one. I just think they match up so well, and they're not intimidated by Vasilevsky in the slightest.
Well, hey, Matthew Nyes, that guy's getting a huge deal this summer, I would think, from Toronto, pending RFAs, having a great year. Kevin, great stuff, man. I appreciate the rundown. Enjoy the game tonight.
All right, cheers. You have fun now.
There you go. That's Kevin McGran, a longtime Maple Leafs reporter. So the Leafs and the Panthers. Like, this is awesome. Here we are. It's April 2nd. Playoffs start in 17 days. And every night, if you want to, you can get yourself into playoff mode. Now, it's not going to have the same emotion as an Oilers fan would in a playoff game. I understand that. But that game tonight is huge for play. Like, if you're the Maple Leafs and you can win that game in regulation, you would put yourselves 4 points up on the Panthers. Each team would have 6 games left, and the Maple Leafs would have 3 extra regulation wins. So you look at that, they have 7 games left. They have a 4-point lead. Just go 4-3. And you know what has to happen? Florida has to go 6-0-1. to pass you. It's massive. It's a massive game tonight for the Maple Leafs if they can win in a regulation to all but guarantee themselves at least home ice for one of the first 2 rounds. So a huge game. And I think Florida knew that. They didn't play Bobrovsky last night against Buffalo. They saved him. Now, it didn't work, although they had a 2-1 lead. Sorry, not against Buffalo, against Montreal. It looked like it was going to work. Dropped 2-1. There's 10 seconds left in the game. Tying goal, and then they lose it in overtime. Whew. That was a tough stretch of, 37 seconds? Or 38 seconds for Nick Suzuki to score 2 goals? Think about how much that changes the save percentage of the goalie in a game in 38 seconds. Hey, man, our backup had a great game. Wow, it's awesome. Nope. Instant change. Quick break. We'll come back with 5 questions on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Spring, where everything is coming up roses, except for GS Construction. We're heading underground, and we couldn't be happier. Spring is always a busy time of year for everyone trying to get out there and do some work. Well, GS Construction agrees, and we also agree that we just might need some help. So if you're looking to work and join a group where safety, teamwork, and continuous improvement have been at our core since 1974, send us a resume. Come work with us this spring. Visit gsconstruction.ca today.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Do it, do it, do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash. So, Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
They are nice, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquacentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy that you're getting quality Japanese vehicles, not tariffs. Purchase a 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV at 0% for up to 84 months with no payments for 90 days, or get $14,500 off when you lease. Add in a $1,000 Conquest rebate and another $1,000 loyalty rebate. You can lease from $38,478 or as low as $139 a week with 0 down. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Avenue and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
3:45. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Happy Hump Day. Oilers are in San Jose. McDavid's not going to play on the weekend. Trent Frederick's not going to play before the weekend. Maybe we'll play on Monday against the Anaheim Ducks, which we said next week. Also, Calvin Pickard will start tomorrow night for the Edmonton Oilers as they want to keep pace with the Los Angeles Kings. Each team has 8 games remaining. Oilers, of course, will take on the Sharks tomorrow. Then they will be in LA for a matinee game on Saturday. Meanwhile, the LA Kings, do they play? Yeah, they're in Utah tomorrow night. So there you go, both on the road. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. And as it gets a little bit light out, you want to ensure that you get good sleep. Waking up tired, it's not an option. You want to feel good for golf. You want to feel good for jogging. You want a good night's sleep. Go to the Brick Mattress Store. They'll help you.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Gregor, 2-part questions. I think one is an easy answer. Part 1 is, what is more likely? Leon gets to 60 or another player gets to 50? And then part 2, who do you think will finish second in goals scored this season behind Draisaitl?
Well, Nylander, I think, is going to finish second. What's more likely? Oh, Leon getting to 60. More likely than anybody else getting to 50. I'd love to see him do it. He'd need 8 and 8. Possible, sure. They got the Sharks 3 times now. Is he going to play that last game of the season against the Sharks? I guess if it's for home ice, they might. But I don't know. So could Leon have a big night? Yeah. So I would say it's probably more likely he gets 60, but I'll take Nylander to finish second, and Nylander is going to finish with 47.
I will agree. Leon likely to get 60. And I'm going to take Tage Thompson. He's got 3 goals in his last 4. He's got 5 goals in his last 5, I believe. If my math is math. And so, yeah, I think that Tage Thompson's playing some good hockey. Maybe teams are kind of sleeping on the Sabres right now, as they should, and he can take advantage. So I'm going to say Tage Thompson finds a way to get it done. Question number 2 for you. Of the Oilers who have, and I'm saying air quotes, underperformed so far this season, who do you think will turn it on in the playoffs?
Ooh, good question. Now underperformed. I guess that would be everybody has a different opinion on who's underperformed or not. I'm gonna go Stuart Skinner.
You took the one I wanted to go with. I wanted to surprise some people. If we're going outside of Stuart Skinner, I'm gonna say Connor Brown. Not to the extent of last year, but I think he'll find his game a little bit more as the season progresses and help this team out into the playoffs. Question number 3 for you. There's some reports out there that the Kansas City Chiefs have requested that the NFL makes them a fixture on Christmas Day games, similar to the Lions and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Do you think this would be a good idea?
No. I actually hate that there's more teams wanting to play a game. I love that the NHL takes a 3-day break. You know what? Hey, everybody's a sports fan. I understand it. But, you can have some time for family, a little bit of a break. So I don't love it. But if I'm the NFL, no, I wouldn't want to do this. Like, Detroit was on Thanksgiving for years, and they sucked. So don't get locked into it, because the Chiefs are in the top now. But, historically, they're not always going to be there. So why do I want to have a locked-in game when I know one team sucks? To me, if you're going to make it the best possible, then it should rotate around, and you should have it so it's marquee games, or at least potential to be marquee games. Because at the start of the year, for the most part, you could pick, okay, if we have a game between any of these 16 teams, 2 of them, it's a pretty decent chance, right? And then there's the other half of the league, like there's some teams you're like, no chance we're playing because they're not going to be good. So I wouldn't lock in.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think I had to tell me I'm wrong about this years ago with the Detroit Lions before the resurgence. And it's just like, why? We don't want to watch them play football. Kansas City Chiefs, like you said, right now, yeah, I mean, they'll probably be a fixture for a couple of years here because they are that good and everybody does want to tune in. But, man, I don't want to see what might be 3-11 Kansas City Chiefs team going out there and playing. And, geez, their players probably wouldn't want to do it either. So, yeah, I don't think it's a fixture. I think you can kind of go year to year and put the top teams in there if you want to get all the viewers. Question number 4. What do you think of the hire for Stuart Johnson as the new CFL commissioner, officially starting later this month?
Yeah, well, I hope we never have to hear about expansion again until there's an arena with shovels in the ground, a stadium with shovels in the ground. Don't ever mention it. To me, it just irked me that seemed to be the one thing that Ambrosi talked about. They might be farther away today, Connor, than they were when he took over as commissioner. So don't do that. I will say this. I think that the league's in a pretty decent position. You look at the UFL, like the spring league, everybody thought, oh, it's going to hurt the CFL. It's not. That. I don't think that league's going to last. I hope that Stuart Johnson, with his media background, can allow the CFL to become a little bit better when it comes to communication to their fans. And a lot of that comes from online.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm hoping there's a little more focus, and nothing against trying to grow the game internationally, but a little more focus on growing it here in Canada, and doing it through the media, utilizing the skill set that he has. I like the hire. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to bring to the league and what he might change in the next couple of years here. Final question for you today. Sad news last night, actor Val Kilmer passing away. He was in a ton of great movies. Which would be your favorite?
Oh, man. We were discussing this last night at my house, and God, he's got some good ones. Now, my favorite movie has him in, but I think my favorite character is from a different movie. My favorite character was when he was in Doc Holliday in Tombstone. My favorite movie with him in is Heat.
I'm with you. I mean, those are movies I think we knocked off in the movie watch a couple of years ago. Like
Unreal.
Top Gun's an absolute classic, and his role in The Doors, I mean, he looks like Morrison. Like he knocked it out of the park. But I just watched Heat, that shootout scene, Gregor, when they're in the street. Like the cast in that movie is just fantastic. So hard to knock Heat is my top pick.
Yeah, I loved Heat, man. Heat is fantastic, and Doc Holliday, I'm your Huckleberry. Like he's such a great line, but he was so good in that. And then I loved Heat. Like Heat is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I found, and I tweeted it out earlier, and I want to read it because so this was Val Kilmer. He was asked in a Q&A once about what was his experience like working on Heat. And he quote, "Well, imagine being able to say Al and Bob for the rest of your life. Not many people can do that. I've seen Bob," obviously he's talking about Robert De Niro, "giggling like a schoolgirl in a van in the middle of the night because we have to be quiet because they're filming outside. I've been hugged by Al Pacino in the middle of downtown LA like he was my older brother. I've shot live rounds from high-powered assault weapons over Bob's head while rehearsing lines from our film. I got to kiss Ashley Judd. I sometimes lived at Michael Mann's house. I am in one of the greatest cops and robber films in the history. Has to be top 20. I'm on the poster, for goodness sakes. What an honor. Priceless experience, watching all the actors do their thing. We all work hard, but when you are with the icons, you get really squared away. Loved every minute of it." And that was, I don't know when when that was from many years ago, but I remember that and Googled it up and found that response. And it's just fantastic. And it kind of shows you, but Val Kilmer, that movie, it's an iconic film. It's if you haven't watched Heat, any of our young listeners, go watch it. It's an unreal movie.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the post going out there last night, Gregor. Like, can anyone top this shootout scene? I don't know. I remember going into it and people saying, like, you're going to love that scene. Like, it's phenomenal. And what a great rundown. It kind of, like, humanizes him even more, like, to work with his idols, to kiss a superstar, to be on the movie poster. That's a good quote.
Well, a lot of people are texting in about Thunderheart. They loved Thunderheart. Well, I haven't seen it. So so what's it about? When a series of murders stuns a small Native American reservation, the FBI sends an agent. Oh, maybe I have seen that. Okay. I think I have. Agent Ray Lavoie to investigate. Well, Ray is relatively inexperienced. He's one quarter Sioux, and the FBI hopes it'll make it easier for them to gather information from the locals. Ooh. You know what? Maybe I didn't. I definitely don't remember it if I've seen it. So now I'm going to put it on the list because, yeah, that sounds great. Awesome.
91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
91?
91. That's a good sign.
Lots of other people that love him in Top Secret. for sure. So yeah, that was a good one. Hey guys, what about Val Kilmer when he was the weed Sherpa in Entourage? That was actually a very good cameo. Good one, Sean. Very good one. He was quite funny. Man, there's like Kilmer's. He had some great roles. That's what awesome. Hey guys, I'm not even a Chiefs fan. I know 3-11 homes will never happen.
Yeah, I'm not talking right now.
Well, of course it'll never happen because it's a 17-game season, so it might be 3-14. We're not talking now, but the point, it is about now. You don't lock into something because it's good now. That's what I'm saying. Why? They locked into Detroit, and it sucked for years. Okay? To just assume that KC forever is always going to be good is ridiculous. How the Patriots doing since Brady left? Oh, that's right. Not very good. So, come on. We're talking big picture here. There's no reason to lock into one team, right? Just don't. But if you want to schedule them for the next 5 years because you got Mahomes, well, that makes perfect sense. I'm just not locking into him right now. I see zero reason to do it. Zero reason to do it. Let's get to the comment and a sports 1440 update. Brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month on now at GMC. Get $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models. See more at gmccanada.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And the Edmonton Oilers have signed 2024-2025 Swedish Hockey League leading scorer David Thomas to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract for the next season. They also signed Josh Szymanski to a 2-year entry-level contract beginning next season. The 6'5", 190-pound center had 26 helpers, 14 goals in 52 games this past season over in Germany. On the ice tonight, you got the Wild taking on the Rangers, Captain Carolina. Leafs host the Panthers, Avs take on the Blackhawks, and it's the Canucks and Kraken meeting in Vancouver. In the WHL, the Edmonton Oil Kings looking to take a commanding 3-1 series lead when they host the Prince Albert Raiders tonight down at Rogers Place. Puck drop in this one set for 7 o'clock. In the CFL, Stuart Johnson announced officially today as the new commissioner. 15th in league history, he'll succeed Randy Ambrosie and take over on April 14th. In the majors, the Toronto Blue Jays victorious, improving to 5-2 on the season as they double up the Nationals 4-2. You also have the Cards over the Angels 12-5. Brewers beat the Royals 3-2. Rays falling at home to the Pirates 4-2. And it was the Rangers over the Reds 1-0. Busy afternoon. Cubbies right now beating up on the Athletics 10-2 in the 7th. You got the White Sox shredding the Twins 1-0. Giants have a 5-3 lead over the Astros, and the Padres beat the Guardians 4-0. In the association tonight, should be a fun one. You got Pistons taking on the Thunder, Pelicans in LA to take on the Clippers, Mavs host the Hawks, Jazz in Houston, Celtics taking on the Heat, Hornets and Pistons, and the Knicks travel to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. One game in the PWHL, as you'll see Boston taking on Ottawa. That one gets going just after 5 o'clock. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we've got another edition of the Business of Sport with longtime player agent Rich Winter. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station.
CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
At Fountain Tire, our focus is taking care of your vehicle. Your focus? Saving up to 25% off select tires. Plus, getting up to a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires until April 26th. So we both win. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
At McDonald's, there are new breakfast sandwiches with a secret ingredient.
A secret ingredient?
It's a little sweet, born in the cold, cradled by spring.
Gotcha. It's maple.
Well, yes, but let me finish. It's made
with 100% Canadian maple syrup?
Right again. It's a brand new smoky maple sauce featured in...
Oh, some new McD's breakfast sandwiches.
And you can try it
before 11 a.m. only.
Wow, you're good at this.
I know what I like. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Happy hump day. Almost over that hump of the week. Thursday, Friday comes in. You're feeling good. You're like, all right, the weekend is almost here. Then you're one day closer to the NHL playoffs. Welcome back. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50. You'll get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. As we welcome to the show, as we do every Wednesday, a longtime NHL player agent joins us in the business of sports, Rich Winter. Rich, welcome back, my man. How you doing?
I'm still hoping you replace long time with vital, dynamic at some point, but I'm okay with long time. But I'm good. Everybody's
well, it gives you more of like an experience note, right? It's like,
experience, yeah. Like it's like when you go to a restaurant. When you go to a restaurant when you're 20, and they say, "Sir, can I get your table?" You look at your date and you're going, "Excited, I'm a sir," right? Then you turn 60 and you go, "Can you just say, hey, dude," or something? Like, just you got something else, you know? Like,
well, you're in a lounge chair. You're sitting back so far there. I thought it was like you're thinking you're in a sports car here on the show today. You're leaning way back.
This is just a comfortable sort of in the Stanley Cup, Dominic Hasek, Joseph Vasicek mode. I don't know. But you asked how I was, and you asked me this question a while back. You know, have you ever fired a player? You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
I fired 2 today.
2 players?
Yeah.
How did that go? Like, do you just like, how does it work where you say this relationship is ending? Like, what's your words when you say like you're fired?
The tactic was, so I won't tell you the players, but I worked really hard to get this player on the particular team he wanted. It actually took me 3 months. It was his dream. This is where he wanted to play. Restricted me quite a bit. Got him there, and he wants to play with his brother. So his brother looks like he's signing with another team. So today, after sitting down with the general manager just 4 days ago, telling him how thankful he is, you brought him here, it's his dream, he decided to tell the team services guy that he was walking away from the team today and he wouldn't be there for the rest of the season, give him 2 hours to find a player. I thought to myself, maybe not as moral as I would have handled it, but I've never heard anything like it. I think the young man's just probably
played on his team. Obviously, I'm assuming this is in Europe.
No,
in the American League.
It's in North America. And it's not the East Coast League, I'll only say. But anyway, I just quickly, so how does it happen? Well, first the general manager calls you. I hadn't really even known. It was really strange. I got this cryptic text today. I sort of did what I said I might do. I told this team services guy to get another player for tonight. I'm like, well, that's weird. Team services guy. Is he hurt? Like your natural reaction is something went wrong, you know, like his wife fell down the stairs. She's hurt, or, you know, he's having a baby, or you know, he's not having a baby, but then the general manager calls me. I go, oh, okay, now I get it. Yeah. You're telling me he left the team, right? He goes, yeah. Did you know about it? I said, I'm telling you, buddy, I had no idea. I am so embarrassed for him. I am so angry. I can't believe he would let his teammates down like he did here. I said, because what seems so bizarre is this is ruining his career in North America, because the next team that falls says, okay, so he left in the middle of the season. What happened there? That general manager probably won't give a really, really good, referral, and it's done. It's over for him, and he's probably done the same thing to his brother at the same time, that's the bizarre thing about it. But so how it happens is you talk to the GM and you tell the other GM that's thinking of signing the brother, because you don't want him to get in the middle of something bizarre. And then you just send him a termination text and follow it up with an email. And like the other agent who had him previously, who's a friend of mine, said, oh yeah, how you feeling today? I said, I don't know. I said to Neil, and he said, because the day they fired me was the day I hadn't felt that good for a long time. They fired him. So I said, well, Neil, I have it on you because I just fired them. He said, well, anyway, nice kids, but just, I mean, unless if they've had 100 concussions, I sort of get it. I don't think they have. They play kind of on the outside, very skilled. So I don't know. It's something where you just go, you're hurt almost, because as much as this is unacceptable behavior, you feel bad that a young man, if for whatever reason, it might be a passionate desire to play with his brother, but like it's when he ruins, like he basically give himself a death sentence. Now, I hope they enjoy playing in Slovenia together, because, it's a nice country there, good, nice landscape, food's good. So, because that's probably what he just did with this decision. The guy's a point a game guy in the American Hockey League. Anyway, so other than that, that was an interesting distraction for today. That's sort of the life of an agent at its most bizarre.
Yeah, well, that because that's never happened. Have you ever had a player up and quit during a season before?
Once, but here's how it went. It was like one of the best calls unlike this one. So Vinny Prospal, who was drafted, and people in the Czech Republic didn't think he could skate. It was ridiculous. He couldn't play. Well, he plays like 1,000 games in the NHL, right? And he's a terrible skater, but he sees the ice very well. He loves the game. He's the only guy that loves playing for John Tortorella. Like, he loves it. He followed John. He left Tampa, followed him to New York. He was trying to follow him to Vancouver, where this story will end, because he works so hard. John Torts has no problems with players who work their tail off. Anyway, so this player, he's now 37, 38, and it took me a little longer than normal to get him a job. I get him a job. He flies from his home in Tampa. It's Vinny Prospal, so it's not a secret. And so Vinny, a great guy. Like, he's just a superb guy. And he phones me like the next morning after practice. He says, "You're going to kill me." I go, "Why?" He said, "Rich," because he spent all that time with his family. He's taking his kids to hockey. He's got all this time. He's not on the road, not doing anything. "I found something I love more than hockey." I said, "Well, what is it?" I kind of knew what it was. "I love my wife and my kids. I just want to go home." I said, "Vinny, what would you think would make me mad about that? How many hockey players leave the game and find something they love more than the game, and it happens to the people that are living in their home?" I think it's amazing. It was just like a great call. And I called Vancouver. They weren't too pleased that they just paid to fly him all the way across the country, but nobody was really upset. The kid loves his family, coach, more than us. Well, go figure.
Yeah,
that was a good one. So that was the only other time, but I understood. It was fun to deal with Vinny, because in the last 4 or 5 years of his career, people say, I worry about his skating. And I'd always say, guys, he couldn't skate when he was 18. Like, what are you talking about, right? Like, he's not slower. He was always this slow. He made his living by standing on the half wall and making sure some guy who was wide open, AKA a Draisaitl or somebody else, finds a Hyman type. And he lived off of that. Anyway, so, that was a nice call. And to this day, Vinny's one. I remember Vinny one time. I said, I heard, Vinny, we got a little problem. You and I, like, you might not be happy with the survey. He goes, Rich, if I have a problem, what do you think will be the first to hear? Geez, what are you, crazy? I love you, man. Like, you would have known this. Like, okay, thanks. He's just very matter of fact. Just a wonderful kid. I love the guy.
Now, I want to talk about, because you brought over lots of European players. You've talked about lots of guys who are released and sent back and end up to have really good careers. The Oilers today signed David Tomasevich. He just turned 29 in February. He's leading the Swedish Elite Hockey League this season in points. He was, I think, second or third last year. So he's going to come over, signed a 1-year deal at $1.2 million that starts next year to take a chance. Now, you had Mark Giordano when he went over to Russia, left the NHL, went over there. Obviously, it was the right move. Do you, as an agent, because some guys, if you're not getting an opportunity when you're 25 or 4 or 5 or 6, you can sit there and grind it out. Now, how do you balance knowing you just need ice time? You just got to play and gain your confidence back. How do you, and sometimes it might be in Europe. It might be in the American League. It doesn't have to be, or some guys, I just want to be in the NHL. How do you massage that as an agent where sometimes a step back might lead to 2 steps forward?
It's like Muhammad Ali said, the best punches I ever laid was after I stepped back twice, right? And then leaned into it. But you just have to talk to them about opportunity is the mother of a massive amount of money in sports, right? And, there's you in this job you have, and in my job, there's probably, if there's not 1,000, there's 5,000 kids we've heard, hey, I was better than, I just needed power play time, man. I can't believe, my career ended, or, and so it's like focus on opportunity. Marty Straka was probably the best example of this. He got bought out by Florida, and which is mind-boggling to me, but coach wouldn't play him. Coach is never wrong. You guys need to understand that, because when the coach says you can't score, he puts him on the 4th line, so can't score. And if he likes the player, you'll get a few points playing with Draisaitl, McDavid, no matter how bad he is, right? So it kind of works out. Anyway, they let him go, and I said, Marty, they give you $500,000 to go home. You're making $750,000. There's no minimum salary back then. I'm going to ask for $250,000, not a nickel more, and don't talk to me otherwise. Because if I ask for $250,000 for a guy who scored 30 goals as a rookie, who's still 26, like, I'm going to have as many suitors as I want, and we will pick the right spot. Within a year and a half, he had 85 points, followed up with 95 points, scored about 300 or 400 more points, and played for 7 more years at an elite level. Because he landed in the spot. One, he played in Pittsburgh as a rookie, scored 30 in Pittsburgh. He was comfortable there, really good friends with Crazy Man Jagr, and they love each other. And Jan Hrdina was there, and Michael Roosevelt. So he's got the whole Czech mafia. He's feeling really good. And he goes there, and, how is it possible? Like, they bought a guy out, and within 3 years, he scored 250 more points. It's just crazy, man. I guess it'll be about 5 years, he got the 250 points. So so you try and, I don't know if this young man I think it's a big transition and big challenge to make it at 29, but it's possible. With Gio, it was actually more of a Keenan concern, because they offered him a 2-way contract, because Daryl Sutter had this, just policy. If you don't play more than 60 games, you can't have a 1-way. Gio played 48, but he scored 8 goals that year. So, okay. And Gio was just thinking, like, they offered me $1.2 million. They're going to play me a lot. I said, look, you're going to be on that big ice surface. It'll help you with your lateral movement. And the fear was that Keenan is either going to play Gio 30 or minutes a night or 3, right? Because he's not predictable. And we just thought, you know what? Gio's comes from a family.
Was his head coach in Russia?
I don't remember.
Oh,
some guy.
Oh no, Keenan was the head coach in Calgary. Sorry.
Yeah, Keenan was the head coach in Calgary. So we were basically running away from Mike Keenan because the risk was too great on a 2-way contract, and the opportunity and the financially. And so in Gio's case, it was a combination of, we thought it was a really good development opportunity to pursue his goal of becoming a better elite NHL defenseman. Like I always told you, when I told Gio when I first met him, I thought he'd be a top 2 NHL defenseman. He's like, he's pretty excited about that. Never drafted, thinks I might be losing my mind, but he's happy I have that much. I'm that impressed with him. I was wrong, of course. He wasn't a top 2. He was a Norris Trophy winner. But so he goes over there, he gets all this experience, and it comes back. And I think the day that Gio became a leader was when he went into the dressing room after he got back from Russia. Now, remember Daryl Sutter, Daryl Sutter's, most players have a fair amount of fear when they're dealing with Daryl. He's a wonderful guy, but a little bit less than dynamic as a coach and GM, pretty strong-willed. He said, I'm never, Rich, just, we get along really well, but I'm never moving off this 2-way, Rich. Never happened. Then, of course, Gio came back and they offered him 1.5 one-way. And he just said to me, I walked into that dressing room because I called him to ask him how it went, how it felt to be back. And he said, I walked into that dressing room and he has a big smile on his face. He says, everybody in that room, everybody knew I kicked Daryl Sutter's butt. And I think that was a time where, as a young player, they're so intimidated generally, by management, that Gio stood up as a young man to one of the tougher, more respected players and coaches and GMs in the game, and he won. I think that dynamic was probably as important as working on his mobility. He's playing like 28 minutes a night over there. He got lots of ice time. So it's just trying to help them understand the Marty Straka story, the Giordano story, and trying just to help them understand that taking a step back might be the best thing. And I always tell this with young kids, these young kids, I don't want to go to the minors. Well, I look at ice time. I always, especially Europeans, do you have a statute in your square at home? Oh, everybody does, right? How tall is it? It's like, whoa, it's big, about double my size. So I said, how deep do you think the base is? 6 inches, 8 inches? No, gosh, it's got to be really deep. And I said, you know what the base of an athlete is in hockey? It's ice time. You build your base layer by layer by layer. You play here for the next year and a half for 8 minutes. Not much happens. You play down there, Ziggy Palfy, or some of these other kids, Michael Rosefall, and some of these other kids that had great NHL careers. That's the base. And guess what? Once you get that base and you're ready, we will erect you in this, in the center square or center ice or the blue line in the National Hockey League, and you won't be knocked over. You'll be fine. And I think if you have experience and you can tell stories and you can, and that of other players, it's not easy because, especially the world we live in, everybody wants it easy. Geez, my stuff I give to my kids and my grandchildren now compared to what we got, it's mind-boggling. There's an expectation that it is what it is, that they're going to get what they want, and the work ethic is lost on them. I always usually when a guy goes down, I say, you're going down, you're going to get a lot of this ice time to build the base, and I'm sending you 6 Kobe Bryant podcasts. I just want you to listen to them. One every week. Just keep listening to, because the one message Kobe will give anybody that would have listened to him: practice harder than you play, work your tail off. I mean, Kobe used to come into practice. When guys hear this, it's very regular for him to come in at 4:00 in the morning, shoot 1,000 baskets, drive home, have breakfast with his kids, drive his kids to school. He wants to be a good dad as well as a good player, then go to practice. Now, I don't know if that's superhuman. I don't think most guys can do it, but I try and give them a clear understanding that it's hard work. And I've learned Vinny Prospal can't skate. He played 1,000 games in the NHL. It's all about hard work. It really, talent is, there's a great book called Talent is Overrated, written by
the book about grit. Unbelievable.
Well, grit's the same thing, like Angela Duckworth. It's just about, if you do something for 100 hours in a very focused fashion, you're going to be good at it. Now, sometimes what'll happen is people will be working hard. I'll have a kid tell me he's working really hard. It's usually not as hard as he can. He doesn't get it. But let's say I'm holding weights, 2 free weights, one above my chest in a perfect position, one way off to the left here. I can be working really hard and I'm strengthening my body on the right hand and tearing my shoulder out. So sometimes it's about 2 things: teaching them about how to work hard and then making sure they work hard at the right things. And that's what we spend a lot of time doing. A lot of people are surprised. The focus never is much here on the contract. The contract just comes. When Marty Straka got 92 points, do you think we had any trouble getting him a deal?
No, probably not. Well, you know what? We'll talk to a guy who negotiates those deals next on the
with me.
Report. Yeah, it's assistant GM of the Orders, Bill Scott, will join us next on the Gregor Show, presented by Play Alberta.
Okay.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Oodle noodle origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Jason Gregor, Rich Winter with you in the business of sports as we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. They want to thank all of their fans, all of their sponsors for supporting them in their inaugural season in the BCHL. They look forward to welcoming you back to their brand new rink next year. So thanks for supporting from the Spruce Grove Saints.
So are they playing in the Silent Ice this next year?
No, they got the new arena in Spruce Grove.
Oh, really? Wow, nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's really good. It looks. I did a tour of it a few months ago, man. That thing looks unreal. So it's going to be it's going to be one of the best barns going. So I think
nice.
Hockey fans who in Spruce Grove and area are going to like it. As we welcome in now assistant general manager for the Edmonton Oilers, Bill Scott joins us. Bill, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jason? Good to see you, Rich.
Hey, Bill. How's it going?
Do you guys? How is negotiating, Bill? Because you negotiate a lot of the contracts. That's part of your, that's part of the role as a GM. So we'll get into the whole role. But how is it? Does personal relations matter between agents for you when it comes to negotiating? Do you find it's easier if you get along with a certain guy, or some guys just
I'm easy. Like I just give whatever Bill wants, but there might be other guys that are harder on him.
I think I don't know that a personal relationship is going to get you necessarily a better deal. The agent's always going to look out for his player and try and find fair market value. The team's always going to try and get the best deal for themselves. But I think it helps you find common ground, and it helps keep a negotiation from getting contentious. Because you're certainly going to have disagreements in negotiations, but as long as you can continue to negotiate, that's a big thing. So I think when you're friendly with the agents and you have those good relationships, you've taken time to cultivate those, it certainly helps in a negotiation to get something done that works for both sides.
Well, I think, Bill, where it does help probably, and you think of Calvin Pickard as a great example, Calvin had a number of choices before he signed here. And I think one of the times where relationships are critical is when someone makes a commitment to me that they're going to do this. Like if it's a young kid coming out of college, I promise I'm going to give him 5 games or whatever the case may be. Really, when it came down to Calvin signing here or not, a couple of things. We believed that he had an opportunity we thought to seize the number 1 job, even back then. That was his back in his thinking. But, talking to Keith, talking to Bill, and then a couple of other relationships, like he had there's people in Bakersfield that were know Calvin very well. All of those relationships resulted in Calvin saying, okay, I want to go here. And then the numbers were discussed, and initially on a 2-way, there wasn't much difference of opinion. Bill and I had a little bit of a disagreement. He was trying to cheap out last year and get him for less than $1 million. But look, that's what their job is, right? But $1 million, I knew eventually he's going to come around, because $1 million for a good backup that everybody in the team would pay $1 million just to show up because he's such a great character. They would do that. But more importantly for the Oilers, I think at this point, Calvin's not here if it isn't for the relationships.
Now, Bill, I want to go back into the business of sports. I'd like to talk about the different roles people have. And for you, because people, and not everybody's going to get to be a player. Let's be honest. The vast majority of people aren't going to get to be players, but to get into the NHL. And now your dad was a player agent, funny enough, in Gil Scott for a long time. But now you went to Michigan State. You had the bachelor's degree in business management. You worked for the men's hockey team at the time. So, did you have aspirations always? Did you have a specific goal? Okay, my goal is I'm going to go to university and I want to be a manager in the National Hockey League.
That's exactly it. I knew that in high school when I knew that my playing career was not going to reach a level that was going to get me to the NHL. I switched focus quickly and said, how else can I get there? I'd like to be a manager. This is what I want to do. And I love the sport of hockey. So even in high school, we had a co-op program where I worked for the junior A hockey team, the Stouffville Spirit, in my last year, and then went to school at Michigan State, knowing it was a good hockey program, knowing that it would hopefully help my resume coming out of college and getting that degree in business management. But that was always the goal. So that really tailored what I wanted to do in school for the coursework. And then, being around a team, an organization, we were one of the top teams in the country for most of my 4 years there. Had a number of NHL players graduate from there and go on to great careers. Sean Horkoff was a senior my freshman year there. We had players like Ryan Miller, John Michael Lyles, just to name a few. So we had a really good team, great program, and that kind of really got my start, and it was nothing more than being basically an equipment manager and doing some video as well. Video wasn't quite as prominent back then in 1999, and just cutting shift tapes and filming the games and things like that. So it wasn't flashy, but it got me at least a bit of a foundation to get to where I am now.
So, yeah, because you just want to be around the team and you can learn a lot of different things. And so, hey, you're an equipment manager, but you're around the team. Then you were the ECH, because when you left school, did you not go to the ECHL and you were the manager of hockey operations?
Yeah, so kind of the career path there. When I was leaving school, I sent out 55 letters, basically, to people, Hockey Canada, USA Hockey. I'm a dual citizen. And then really to anybody in the NHL that I could think of. I had a few connections through my father who represented some coaches at the time. So he had some connections in the NHL. And out of those 55 letters that I sent out, I got 2 responses. And one was Cliff Fletcher, who was general manager of Arizona at the time. Phoenix. And he basically just called to say, got your resume, appreciate it, but we're not hiring anybody. But I thought it was really nice that he took the time to call. I'll never forget that. And the other one was David Poyle in Nashville. And he said, we've started an internship program. The first person is currently going through it, but their semester is basically going to end at the end of June. If you have interest in doing that, it's unpaid. You got to find your own housing, come down to Nashville. We'll look at considering you. So as I quickly realized a job in the National Hockey League was not going to just come to me, I said, this sounds pretty good. So I ended up taking that internship. That year, the draft happened to be in Nashville. So I went to Nashville for a few weeks right around the draft, went to their development camp, and then came back home and made some money in the summer and drove back down to Nashville in August. And I was really only there about 6 weeks. During that time, a job opened up in the ECHL, and Rod Pasma was the person hiring. Rod Pasma had been drafted by David Poyle by the Washington Capitals many years earlier. And it was really a hockey administrative job at the AA level with the ECHL. I didn't really know a ton about the ECHL at that time. Had some buddies that had played in it, but really I left Nashville thinking I'm going down a couple levels. It's not where I want to go, but we also knew that lockout was going to be coming the following year. And David said, we're probably going to be letting people go. If you can get a full-time job paid in the hockey business, you should take it right now and run. And I started there in 2003 and was there for 3 years as the manager of hockey operations for the ECHL. And really we were building our schedules out. We were interpreting the bylaws, regulations, CBA. And then in that league, there are all kinds of transactions every day. They have a salary cap that you can change daily. If a player gets called up and a team has an extra $500 on their salary cap, they can distribute that $500 to as many players as they want for the time being. So we would just get mountains of paperwork through that office. And basically I did that job for 3 years and was there 7 days a week in the office during the season in Princeton, New Jersey. And it was a great introduction to the league and some great people along the way. Glenn Gulletson, our assistant coach, was the head coach of Las Vegas Wranglers at the time. So, these relationships that you start early and you don't know where you're going to go, but 20 years later, we're still working together.
Well, I think the message there, Bill, is like I did the similar thing. When I went to LA, I had a 6-month internship for free. But, first you set the goal, then you just decided I have to do what I have to do. And I think that's the message of your career path is once you set the goal, you've got to be prepared to take any opportunity that comes your way. You can't say, well, I want a bigger office or I'd like to make a little more money. No, David Poyle comes calling. In my case, it was a lawyer named Ted Steinberg, whose clients included Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and others. Like, I'm in the office I'm a kid from Drumheller. I'm working for free, but I'm hanging out with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And that leads to a whole bunch of relationships. And a lot of kids don't understand that. You have a dream, put yourself in a position where somebody might notice, right, Bill?
100%. Yeah, no, that's absolutely it. Like when I would tell my friends I had to be in the office 7 days a week, they didn't think that sounded too great. And at that time, the ECHL, we didn't have big budgets. It wasn't like I got to go travel to a bunch of games. I went to Trenton, which was 20 minutes away on Friday and Saturday nights. And that was really about the only hockey or ECHL hockey that I could, afford to go see at that time. But I think my first job, I made $25,000 a year and lived in the 7th most expensive county in America. So it was a grind. There was a lot of pasta eaten, but that was okay. I loved what I did. It was fun. I was in the business, and I didn't need much of a social life at that time. It was a short-term pain for hopefully what was going to be long-term gain. But I really enjoyed it. It was a great start to my career.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah. And you worked in the ECHL for 3 seasons, Bill.
Yeah.
And obviously you're making relationships because you know what and it's a balance to know, okay, this isn't my end goal, but I got to be committed while I'm here while also keeping my eyes open. How did you balance that? Because I remember someone telling me they didn't hire a guy because he got the reputation of he was always looking for the next job rather than getting that job. How did you balance that?
Yeah, you know what? I was just happy to have a job in hockey at that point. Obviously, the second year that I was in the ECHL, the NHL was shut down, so there wasn't really anything.
They made like 25 grand more than the rest of us.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. But so at that time, I was just happy to be there, happy to have a job. Coming out of the lockout, I interviewed with the Toronto Maple Leafs for a job, and being a Toronto kid, that was kind of an exciting opportunity, and didn't end up getting that job. And I can remember my boss came in a few weeks later, and he kind of said, "Are you okay? You don't seem happy to be here. You're out of here early, blah blah blah." And I thought to myself, I didn't even realize I was doing that, but I think I had been, I had this goal of being in the NHL and working for a hometown team. Sounded great, and didn't get it, and didn't realize how it'd been affecting me for a couple of weeks after. And it was a great wake up call, and shook it off after that, and everything was fine. But I think when those other opportunities come up, you do need to be a little bit careful in how those interactions go. You want to make sure your boss knows what you might be looking at. And certainly I think there are people in the industry that have a reputation for always looking for the next best thing. And if you do that, you're going to get a reputation, and it's probably not going to serve you well in the long term. It might serve you well in the short term, but it's not going to in the long term. And I think, I'm just happy to be working in this business every day, and was back then. But certainly that was the one wake up call I had, where it was, okay, if I'm giving off that vibe that I'm not satisfied or happy that I'm here, I got to switch that and switch my attitude. Even though I didn't realize it, I was doing it. So certainly you want to be happy with where you are and show that every day.
It's funny, Bill, because Jason started off this show about talking about the weekend coming. Well, weekend's not a time off for us. We're busy. There's games. And I just find, and I think you feel the same way, like I don't mind any day. Like I like Mondays. I love getting up because Monday's the start of a new week. I haven't talked to Bill since Friday. Calvin's chomping at the bit to get this deal done. I'm excited to talk to him. I think one of the things that's really a blessing in our business, not every day, but most days are pretty fun. Like I don't find, they change a little bit because there's game day on Saturday. You're probably going to one of your kids' games, so it's a little different on the weekend. But like it's pretty fun every day, and that's really, really a great blessing in terms of what we do.
Yeah, I think that's for hockey, certainly, and for really any business. If it's something that you're passionate about, you're going to enjoy doing it every day.
You'll be good at it.
Yeah, and I can honestly say I've never had a day where I didn't want to go to work, where the job was too much and you're depressed about it or anything like that. I've been excited to get to work every day. Certainly there are some days you'd like to sleep in maybe a little bit more, but it's never been a negative about the job. So it's always been an exciting thing to go. And then a lot of that obviously is the people around you, people you're working with, that you're interacting with, on calls with. That's a big part of it. If you have a fun group to work with that also knows how to work hard, then that makes the job that more.
Well, I'd really like to get into your day to day, because I think people be interested in what you do today. And kind of a lot of what you do is what we might do if we were just fans, right? And I think, Jason, we talk about that here on the next segment about, what Bill's doing on a game day. And some of it's he's stuck with meeting me at the rink to take me down into the practice because I don't have a pass and all that kind of stuff. There's just a lot of day-to-day stuff. Some is just a lot of fun in a fan's eyes, but it's also interesting, I think, maybe to talk a little bit about, they got two assistant GMs here, one in Bill and one in Keith Gretzky, and you guys don't do the same things.
Oh, 100%. One of the cool things about my job is no 2 days are the same. Even differentiating between a practice day and a game day. Every day there's something new that comes up, whether it's a contract extension that we're working on, or there's undrafted free agent player that we're going to go scout. I might be out on the road doing that, doing pro scouting as well. We have lots of different things that come up with our players that often the CBA gets involved with them as well. It could be a housing issue for a player that got called up from Bakersfield to Edmonton, and he's looking to get covered for his housing, and he might have a different interpretation what he's entitled to than we think. So we're hunting down those things. There's lots of stuff that we do internally with our staff, reporting wise. in our analytics department that's growing. So there's all kinds of neat kind of just areas of our business that we get to get into every day. And there's certain things that we do we calendarize on an annual basis that, this time of year, we're going to be looking at these things. But there's a lot of stuff that just comes up in the day to day that we take care of as well. There's so many things that really people don't know happen every day. And Rich, you know it as a player agent, things that your players are dealing with that nobody ever hears about, that takes up your time every day as well. So we do a lot of those things. Sometimes it's putting out fires on our end, but we have a lot of conference calls with our staff, or whether it's our scouting staff or development staff, get updates on how players are doing, how they're trending, what they need to work on. Do we need to get a skating coach in to see a certain prospect, different things like that. So we're always planning, preparing, and trying to optimize our group and make our players better, because that's ultimately.
Well, and sometimes it's as simple as people forget. Like, I remember last year was so funny. You were fun. It was challenging, but you were involved in this. Adam Ernie was a player that people thought should have been in the lineup, wasn't getting played as much as he wanted. But the issue that Kenny Holland and I were dealing with, and Bill and I talked about this throughout the period of time, when Campbell's down, they're saving a lot of money, and Calvin Pickard's up. That is being held sort of in a static position because Kenny's trying really hard to make sure he's not forced to send Calvin down and prevent him from being with his 3 little kids at Christmas time. So we had that whole dynamic. I remember having a meeting at a very high level spot that Ken likes to populate at Tim Hortons over there at the rink. And we sat down and I remember saying to Ken at the time, oh, if it's just whether you bring up Campbell or not, that's fine. I'll tell Adam just not to worry about it, because once Calvin gets the ball and gets the confidence I've seen in him admit when we talk, he's not going anywhere. Of course, that worked out. But the fact that, like, a lot of people don't see that going on, or when Craig Muni was his wife was breastfeeding, she wasn't feeling good, and he's up and he's injured, and I mean, remember one night Craig played an NHL playoff game with 1 hour sleep, and I don't remember if he was good or bad that night, but there's all those kind of Bill's dealing with that. Like, Bill's like, the coaches are talking about, like, just Moons is like, he's sick, man. I don't know what to do. And then, there's just a lot of it's like a big family, right? Like, you just got a lot of issues, and that family has to be up and running and mentally ready. And if you can't, happy wife, happy life, here it means happy wife, happy career, more production. And it's all so intertwined. I think people just have no idea what's going on in your head on a Tuesday.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's so many things. You've touched on it from the player aspect. You've got veteran players that might end up in the minor leagues, and that takes a toll on them and their families and different things like that. So you're dealing with those things. You try and handle everyone professionally and with respect. There's some difficult choices that we have to make in this business because it is ultimately performance related. Our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. So, our management group will make decisions. Coaching staff makes decisions on a daily basis to try and put our team in the best spot possible to win games. But it affects people, and it affects their families and their lives. And, we talk to the agents, we talk to the players, and try and work with them as best we can through a lot of those situations when we're able to.
Bill Scott joins us. He is the assistant GM of the Oilers. Now, Bill, of course, part of your responsibility is you're the capologist as well. So do you because the cap it's based on, now is this year 186 days? What is it this year? Because every year is a little different.
192, I think it was.
192. So it splits up. It's for anybody out there. If you have $1 million contract, every day you divide $1 million by 192, that's what you get paid that day. That's what you count on the cap, whether you're playing or not. If you're on the roster, that's what you count. So do you have like obviously it would be a little bit more advanced, but are you like every morning do you get a ding? Okay, this is what our cap space is every day. Like, how does it work monitoring the cap every day?
Yeah, so the NHL has a few tools for us that we can use internally to confirm our cap, but we have our own spreadsheets that we use, and we will verify with the NHL data on a daily basis. Obviously, it's no problem if you're a team that's under the cap and you're not an LTI. And you've got lots of space. If you have $10 million in cap space, you're not too worried about your cap during the year. But for a team like us this year, when we invoked LTI on day one of the season, And yet we were still trying to accumulate cap space so that we would have room to maneuver at the deadline. It was a constant monitoring of that cap and what effect each recall or loan would have on the cap. Do we want to keep extra players up here, or do we want to send players down in order to accrue during that time? So it's something we look at on a daily basis, and certainly when we're tight to the cap like we have been, and we really have been since COVID. Cap's been so tight for most teams, but we've got our own spreadsheets and documents, and we're working on a few other tools actually to enhance that internally. But yeah, we look at it every day. It's top of mind, and really we can't make any moves without being sure that we have cap space to do it. And whether that's performance bonuses that we look at or other things, it's something that we look at closely.
Well, and Bill, the practical concern sometimes is, I always give the GMs a bad time for hanging out at practice. What a waste of time in my mind. But it's part of the fun part of the game. But there's sometimes there because the first thing they're doing after practice is running down, talking to the training staff, talking to the doctor, because they need to get back to Bill as to whether this guy is going to be able to be healthy tonight. Because if he's not healthy, we're bringing a guy up tomorrow, and Bill's got to give them the analysis of whether we can do that or not. And so there's a lot of dynamics that are going along behind this that fans don't understand. The doctor, Bill's dying sometimes to hope the doctor says he's ready, because they can't really afford his salary and another guy's on the cap because his injury short term. It's stuff they don't think about, right? Bill's down there just hoping.
100%. I mean, we're in a situation now with no extra forwards or defensemen that are healthy. And we have a goalie recalled from Bakersfield and Ollie Rodriguez. So we're in that time that you're talking about, Rich, where you're hoping the doctor is always giving you good news.
Yeah.
Now, Bill, at the start of the year, when you put Kane on LTIR, but not in LTIR, what was the benefit? Why couldn't he have just stayed on IR?
Yeah, we felt that at that time in the year, we had an opportunity to almost nail the capture. And what I mean by that is we were almost exactly at $88 million with Kane on our regular roster, just on IR at that time in the year. We could have accrued some space during the year and put Kane on at a later date, but we may not have been able to maximize our capture at that time. We might have accrued some space, which sounds like a good thing. But we might have been $200,000 short of maximizing it when we needed to put Kane on LTIR. So we just took advantage of that situation earlier in the year and said, let's put him on now. We'll get basically the full 88 million to use. And we won't have to worry about it, should something happen at some random time and we end up losing $500,000 or $600,000 of cap space that we could grab on day one.
Now, looking at, and you talked about when you took your first job, I'm an equipment manager and I'm video, and video has obviously changed a lot then than it has now. So just like the salary cap obviously wasn't in place when you started in the ECHL, then it became in place. So really, since you've been in the NHL, the salary cap's always been there, but it's always changing, even, under the certain rules and different things like that. So when you look at kind of the role of his assistant manager, you're an evaluator of scouting, at pro mostly, right? But then you're also doing player. How do you balance, like, if you had to list off like your main three priorities, like let's say you were applying for another job, and on Bill Scott's resume, what's 1, 2, and 3 as far as priorities for you as assistant GM of the Oilers?
Yeah, I think the top three things for myself would be obviously our salary cap and contract negotiation. I kind of put those two things together because generally for most teams, people that are in charge of the salary cap are also doing contract negotiation at some level. Part two would probably be our CBA interpretation and compliance. That falls under my category, and it hits a lot of different things for us in a lot of different departments. Basically telling people what the rules are internally and with our players. And then probably number three would be the scouting side of it. I think I can do my job better as a negotiator, knowing the players in the league and who the comparables are for different players, why they're comparables. And rather than them just being numbers on a piece of paper, style of play, things like that as well. And then also when we're looking at evaluating for trade deadline moves, signings in the summer, having a better handle on the league and the different players, I think is a significant advantage as well.
And Bill's got a quality of his priorities are I understand, but his qualities that lead all of us to enjoy dealing with him is, unlike many, he's incredibly responsive. He's kind, and he cares about the people he deals with. And he's just, his priorities are his priorities. But what carries him in this job is that he just has a very good way of dealing with people, being respectful. And I think I would say most people in this game have a lot of love and affection for Bill because of the way he conducts himself. And that's why he's so good at his job.
How'd you learn that, Bill?
Well, I think my dad, number one, first and foremost, my father, for sure. I've been able to see the other side of it, which I think helps me in talking to the agents. Because I've seen my dad negotiate contracts for players. I've seen what it's like on that side of the business. So I have a great respect for what the agent does and has to go through. They're dealing with, not only themselves and what they think fair market value is, they're dealing with the player, they're dealing with the players' families, they're dealing with the union as well. So they've got a lot on their plate as well. So I have lots of respect for what they have to do on a daily basis. And I think, basic human nature, just treat others how you want to be treated. It's very simple. It's a small group of people that work in this industry. You're going to be crossing paths with them numerous times over your career. And I think it's certainly better to have a good relationship than a bad one. So just treat people well.
Yeah. Reading the future tea leaves, Bill, trends always happen in sports for a lot of different things. And a lot of people are like, oh, look at the St. Louis Blues and the offer sheets. And so now we're going to have a real big run of offer sheets. There is more cap space this summer than we've seen in a long time in the NHL. So do you think we're going to see an influx of offer sheets, or is it going to be harder because now teams have more space to match?
Well, I think that's exactly it. I'm not sure which way that's going to go yet. At the end of the day, you end up oftentimes I think teams or people believe they might end up in an offer sheet position when a player feels his value's much higher than the team's willing to offer. So are we going to get into that position a bunch in the future? It's tough to say. The salary cap is certainly going to go up considerably over the next few years, as we know. We don't know what that will look like for every individual team. It might be great for some teams, and some other teams might have trouble spending to that amount every year. So we don't quite know how this is going to play out over the next few years, but certainly, obviously, our situation last year highlighted offer sheets and those being used, and I think it's being talked about a lot more nowadays. And to your point, teams are going to have more cap space to sign their own players, but does the valuation make sense? And we'll see where that goes. So I think only time will tell on that side of it.
If you are looking to hire someone in the organization, now it's rare that their first job is assistant manager, GM. Now, some guys, maybe if they're former players, sometimes they get that, but in a lot of cases, it's not. Now, you took the business management degree at NCAA Michigan State. So is that like a minimum requirement? What would, if any of our listeners out there are like, man, I want to be Bill Scott in 15 or 20 years, other than the work ethic, what's the education? What are the things you need in your holster that you'll have a chance to maybe get that job?
Yeah, well, I think certainly for my position, I'm probably a little unique in that I'm not a lawyer. And I would say the majority of people in my position are lawyers. And I think that is a great asset to have if you do have a law degree, because you've been through negotiations, arbitrations, putting together briefs and things like that can be a tremendous advantage, especially early on. That was something I had to learn when I got this job. Overall, I think I don't know that there's a specific degree you have to have. I can't tell you that I used my business management degree, on October 20th in 2005. It really helped me out. I find people that end up going to college or university it just shows that you're able to accept that task and get through it, and go from there. So you've got a certain level of competency from that side of it. But I think generally at the end of the day, it's about relationships, and it's about people proving that they're willing to be team players, that they want to work towards a single goal in a team environment. There's lots of people that seem to have their eyes set on a really high job really early, and I try and discourage that with them. You certainly don't want to hear that. There's so many people that have been around, and I was probably like that at some point too, and just in experience now. You don't want to hear from somebody who says, well, in 2 years, I think I'm going to be an assistant GM, and, hopefully in 7 years, I'm going to be a general manager. And you kind of look around your staff and you're going, well, that person's worked for 15 years for us and they're not there yet. And that person's worked for 20 years and that person's worked for 8 years. So I think it's having humility, and providing value. And what that value looks like can be very difficult for people, because a lot of people just want to work in the business. And I was one of them. I wasn't a scout. I wasn't a coach. I wasn't a former NHL player, even pro player. So how do you get in there and provide value to a team? And that's where I think it goes back to just being willing to do whatever it is they ask.
Well, it's funny you say that, Bill, because I remember one night I was in bed, got a call, and I was talking to this guy, Darcy, right? And my wife says to me after the call, is that the guy that picked us up at the airport when David Volek defected? I said, yeah, they're right. It was the guy. It's Darcy. Yeah, Darcy Regier. He's now, she says, what's he doing now? He's the general manager. And Darcy was, good at being political. He was respectful. And that's what happens. Take the job they give you, like Bill did, and find and build the relationships. Because ultimately, this is a pretty simple business, like any other business. You give the guy the opportunity that you like. How do you get to like him? Because, you don't if you don't know him. So, Cindy, I remember just going, wow, maybe you should have gone on the other side. If the guy driving us back from the airport gets a GM job, what do they make, Rich? So I think it's just, there's so many stories. Peter Luco, who ran Comcast Spectacor, started cleaning the dressing rooms in a small American Hockey League ring. Get in there, get to know them, because if you're not in front of their face, they're not going to give you that chance. We've seen movies, we've seen so many stories about Jason, where's that kid Jason, right? Like, he was here yesterday. He would do this. And next thing you know, you got a job. I think Bill's right. The education. We've got, people in this business that, used to be firefighters. I mean, you don't have to have a law degree, but you do have to have a client. And remember that old Jerry Maguire line? It's all about personal relationships, the old guy said. And it's really get in front of people, get to know them, hang out with hockey players. Find a way to have conversations that lead people to know they like you.
Yeah, and Bill, saying that, you've had numerous general managers in your tenure with the Edmonton Oilers. And so when a new GM in hockey, we see it all the time. They like to, quote, bring in their people, their guys. How nerve-wracking was that going through it every time? And have you gained experience on knowing, like, hey, like, obviously I'm valuable, I know what I'm doing, but when a new person comes in, you don't really know until they get a chance to know you. How did you maneuver those waters?
Yeah, well, it's nerve-wracking. There's no doubt about that. Early on, obviously, Steve Tambellini hired me. And when Craig McTavish took over for Steve, Craig had spent a lot of time in Oklahoma City with us. So, and he was very quick to say, everything's good, nothing to worry about. I think my contract was up when he got hired, so he extended that quickly. So that was easy. That one was easy. It was almost internal. But then when Peter Chiarelli came in, that one was a little more nerve-wracking. I didn't know Peter well. I had a slight relationship with him, but he treated me very well. And then when Ken Holland came in, again, somebody I didn't really know. I think I had met once. And my attitude has always just been, everyone is entitled to bring in their own people. I would never hold any ill will, as upset as you would be about losing your job. It's certainly their right. This is a team sport. You bring in new players, you're allowed to bring in new staff, whatever you want to do. But I've tried to take like a humble servant type of attitude with the general manager, which is to say, I believe my position is to serve the general manager, to give him good information so that he can make the best decisions for the organization. I'm not here to be the general manager. I'm here to do my job and do it well. And hopefully that helps the general manager do his job well. And I think when you have the right attitude and it's genuine, people realize that quickly. And they still may get rid of you. You know, there's lots of good people that have been let go because a new general manager came in.
Because the new general manager didn't want a smart guy in the office that was smarter than him so he could cover himself. There's tons of that going on.
Yeah, so that stuff happens, but I think it's just having the right attitude and let the cards fall as they may. It's out of your control, so you can't sweat it too much. And hopefully you do a good job. Hopefully you just get a chance to show them what you can do, and then it's up to them.
Yeah. Bill, we have a lot of people wondering, do you have the magic socks from McDavid's draft? Do you have them anywhere?
You know what? It's funny. I had them in a drawer for years, and I still have the golden card that they flipped over on the show. And about 2 years ago, I gave it to Connor. I said, Connor, can you sign this? So I got it signed. I've got the socks, and I've got it in a frame at my house now. It's kind of a neat memento. Yeah, it's pretty neat thing.
You didn't save the picture of the look on his face when he was drafted by Edmonton. He seems to have changed that, but that was interesting, wasn't it? I'm sure.
Yeah. I think he was. You know what? I think he was as shocked as we all were.
Yeah,
that we actually won that lottery. We won a couple more, and when we went there, I didn't really think we were going to win, but I sure was glad we did.
So you're in that private room, right, when they're doing the draw.
Yeah.
So and you can't celebrate. So tell us, like, you're sitting there, there's all the other teams, and all of a sudden it's just, we just got the next like superstar player, right? Yeah. And this, you know, and he's lived up to it, which is really hard to do. But like how did you finally go out somewhere around a building and fist pump and scream, yeah, bleep, bleep, bleep? Like, how long did it take? Like, who was the first
person? Tell the truth here, Bill.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they had us sequestered in that room for about 20 more minutes, and they wouldn't let anybody out because the broadcast was going on. And so that was incredibly awkward. You're sitting beside, you know, the 5 or 6 other teams that were there, and they're ticked. They've all had a tough year. They went into the night with some hope, and it didn't go well for them, and it went great for us. So it was hard to, you know, wipe the smile off my face probably at that time. And I was new to the NHL. I think that was my second. I think I had just been through my first season in Edmonton, and you know, you're in there with general managers from teams that have been around forever. So it was incredibly awkward, but incredibly exciting. And then really, I think it was by the time I got back to the hotel afterwards and talked to Mac T and Kevin Lowe and who some of those guys were over in Europe at the time. And then talked to my parents and different things like that, and just see the number of text messages from buddies and stuff like that on the phone. It was a really cool moment.
I remember what the first thing Craig McTavish told me after the draft was, I thought it was really a great point. He said, Rich, this guy is going to make a lot of general managers look a lot smarter than they are. And it turned out, we'll decide who did and who didn't later, but it really has helped you guys a lot.
Well, but the funny thing is, Bill, when you drafted Leon Draisaitl, when you look back now a decade later, that's almost, you know, like there's not much of a difference between, you know, how impactful he's been for your organization.
Oh, he's been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable. I've always said he's really probably the key to our success because Connor was kind of always playing at a certain level, and Leon, you just saw the potential. And he was a little more inconsistent early in his career. But the way he's taken off and really he's just gotten better and better and better every year. And I think he's playing like an MVP this year for us. He's been absolutely outstanding. Best player in the league in my mind. And yeah, you're not kidding. Getting those two guys in back-to-back drafts was unbelievable for our franchise.
For sure.
And if you get it drafted well in the other rounds, well,
we filled in pretty good right now. We filled in pretty good.
I know, Bill, but it's tough to draft well, right? It's tough to draft well, and it is harder in the second round, later rounds. But you know, I'm sure there's a number of draft picks you'd like to have back. Everybody does, but yeah, getting those two guys did sort of smooth out a lot of the rough spots.
Yeah, no, they've been excellent. They've been excellent for sure.
Well, Bill, thanks so much for joining us on the Business of Sports, and continued success, and best of luck when the playoffs begin in 17 days.
It's almost here. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks,
Good
Bill,
to
for
see you
just being a good example and a good guy to deal with. I really appreciate you and our friendship a lot.
Sounds like you're trying to get $50K off on the next deal.
Yeah, I was going to call you about that tomorrow. I got 2 college kids I really want to talk to you about. But I thought maybe.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Rich. Always good to do.
Take care.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
That's Bill Scott, assistant GM of the Edmonton Oilers. We're a little bit late, so Rich, have a great day, and we will chat with you. As an awesome edition of the Business of Sports. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. Have a good
Take care of yourself. Cold FX. Get some sleep.
Yeah. I'm on the road to recovery. It's a lot better today. I've only had one coffee, so it's good. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice, where the flavors just keep coming to Booster Juice. Not only do they have smoothies, they got the wraps, and have you tried the new Booster Balls? Oh, always delicious. A good little booster that you can get at Booster Juice.
This is the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Favorite us right now.
Powered by Play.
Play night in the NHL, 5 games on the schedule. You got the Caps and Hurricanes getting going shortly. Rangers host the Wild. The Panthers in Toronto. Avs taking on the Blackhawks, and the Canucks up against the Kraken in the WHL. The Oil Kings taking on the PA Raiders down at Rogers Place, leading that series 2-1. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock. In the majors, Jays were victorious, completing the sweep over the Nationals, winning 4-2 earlier today. Earlier on, you also had the Brewers over the Royals 3-2. Pirates down the Rays 4-2. Rangers over the Reds 1-0. Games going on right now. Twins lead the White Sox 6-0 in the 6th. Mets and Marlins are tied at 4 apiece in the 8th. And the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead over the Orioles midway through the 3rd. In the association tonight, Knicks in Cleveland. Pacers will host the Hornets. The Heat travel to Boston, taking on the Celtics. Mavs host the Hawks. Pistons in OKC, and the Clippers up against the Pelicans. And one game in the PWHL getting going shortly. Boston takes on Ottawa. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties, including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off, presented by Christensen Communities Limited, hits the ice April 25th to 27th. This Edmonton-based tournament pairs hockey fans with some of their favorites from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend, featuring a champions luncheon and tournament. Teams are already fundraising in the community, enabling the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories to continue providing help for today through free education programs and support services, and hope for tomorrow through research. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
RV Wars hits the north side, April 3rd to 6th. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates. Free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side, 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Did you know The Brick is proudly Canadian-owned and operated? We started right here in Canada over 50 years ago. Now, our 5,000 team members are proud to be your neighbor in more than 200 communities across Canada. And we support all Canadians with a growing selection of quality-made Canadian products and manufacturers. Nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. The Brick, saving you more.
Visit thebrick.com and use our store locator to find a Brick store near you.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Charging down the baseline for home plate or gliding down a lakeside park trail on two wheels. Spring's the time to save at St. Albert's Source for Sports. You'll find everything baseball, from cleats and bats to gloves and much more. And you'll get incredible spring savings on bikes from Specialized, plus a great selection of e-bikes, along with advice and full service from the pros. St. Albert's Source for Sports, your source for baseball, bikes, and a whole lot more for over 35 years.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site service? Rain or shine, Japa Service Department is here for you. Get a quote now at japamachinery.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:10. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having a lovely Wednesday afternoon as we roll on through. Man, the show is just flying by. Maybe it's because I'm feeling a little bit better, but either way, it's going quickly. I like it. Bill Scott, great insight on how to become an assistant general manager. The roles of it. Obviously, it's evolved and changed over time, and salary cap plays a big part of it, the negotiations and contract, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's always interesting. There's many people out there, they love sports. There's a very, very small percentage of people who can actually play professional sports at that high level, but you can get involved at other levels. So good luck if you're ever down that road, whether it's player agent, manager. We've talked trainers, we've talked therapists, try to touch on all the bases, and we'll continue to have more of those guests coming on the business of sports. Now, let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. As the snow melts, they just heat up, man. The underground infrastructure specialists, and they are hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction to work for a great company. As we welcome back to the show from Rogers Sportsnet, Mark Spector joins us from San Jose. And Spec, we know, we won't have to guess, but we know that Calvin Pickett's going to start in San Jose, according to Knobloch. And it kind of makes sense when you consider that the Oilers have struggled against the Ducks. Pickett kind of got lit up the last time he played the Ducks. So if Rodrigue's going to get a start, it might actually be Monday in Anaheim.
Well, let's see. My understanding is that if Pickard does not show signs of being worn down, if he continues to play this well, he's probably going to carry the ball as long as possible, which would be right through this trip. Okay. I think Pickard's play will decide if Rodrigue gets a start. And, his last two starts, he's been awfully good. He was very good against Calgary. He was very good last night against Vegas. And, part of this, the part we don't know, Jay, the part we don't know is maybe maybe Skinner's further away and Pickard's going to have to get used to playing a bunch of games in a row here. Maybe this isn't as temporary a thing as we're all hoping it is.
Yeah, I guess you never know. That's for sure. The Oilers, they didn't give up a ton last night. I thought they're pretty good defensively. Obviously, they had the one mistake on the first goal, but you know what? You look at Edmonton's lineup last night, and that's got to be one of their more impressive victories of the season. I thought that second period, they really dominated, outscored them 3-0, outshot them 11-4 spec. And really it just started from the opening shift of the second period.
Yeah, they honestly beat Vegas at the game Vegas tries to beat you with. Yes. Vegas is really big, and they grind you, and they win the board battles, and their depth players, win their shifts, allowing the big guys to hop the boards in an advantageous situation. They'll beat you in a low event game. They're just fine with that. And all of those things turned around after about 15 minutes last night. Edmonton started winning the battles. Edmonton started owning the boards, right? The shots on net were 22-20, like low event hockey. The Oilers, give them credit, missing some big boys. And so was, Pietrangelo and Hurdle didn't play. So that table was a little bit evened out. But the Oilers went into Vegas and they didn't win a game the way Edmonton wants to win games. It wasn't fast up and down hockey, man. It was a grind. And I give the Oilers total credit. Understaffed, undermanned, backup goalie. Everybody, pull up their socks and they pull a win out of there. It might not be a giant win in the standings, but I think it's a really big win between everybody's ears on that team.
Yeah. Oh, I got to think it was a huge victory for them, especially because LA beat Winnipeg and it keeps them close. LA has Utah tomorrow. Edmonton's in San Jose, and both teams probably will be the favorites in those games. And then it sets up a huge game on Saturday afternoon. Now we also got news that none of the other McDavid or Trent Frederick, no one's going to play tomorrow. They're not going to play Saturday. Frederick maybe will play next Monday, so he's trending in the right direction. So it's kind of what you see is what you get. And Spec, it's another game and, another solid performance from Leon Draisaitl. The guy just continues to score key goals off a great pass, I should say, from Nugent Hopkins.
It was one of the great passes, right? You got to say, Nuge faked me out. I had him shooting every guy on the ice. Aiden Hill was bracing for a shot. Like everyone in that arena had Nugent Hopkins firing that wrist shot that he shoots from that exact spot. And he tucked it in and put it right in the wheelhouse. It was, that was a mighty good pass. Draisaitl's just, he's being Draisaitl, man. He's been the leader on this team since the start of the season, production-wise. It hasn't been a vintage McDavid season, and Draisaitl's basically said, I got this. And, there's a few things here, Jay, and I don't know how it's all going to go, but they got 4 guys coming back that are really good players here. McDavid, Ekholm, Frederick, and hopefully Evander Kane. It might be a pipe dream to think Evander Kane is going to find his game after all this time off, but what if he did? I think McDavid can find a much better playoff game. He's going to be well rested. I think if Ekholm's healthy, you're going to see as good an Ekholm as we've had all year, maybe better. Trent Frederick's a whole new deal. Never had him here before. We've all seen him play. This team just went into Vegas and won a game. They won a tough, hard-fought game against Calgary on Saturday. They're playing pretty good hockey. And the 4 guys they got coming back for the start of the playoffs, those aren't small guys. Those aren't bit players. Those are 4 impactful guys, man. This team could, they could look a whole lot better in about 2 weeks' time than they look right now, and they look pretty good as we speak.
I'm flabbergasted, and as I read and hear stuff talking about the Oilers, they're not one of the favorites, and I'm like, what planet are these people on? Look who they're missing, look who they have, and their superstars continue. Like McDavid, it wasn't just last year; it's been the last 3 playoffs, right? 33 points in 16 games, 20 points in 12 games, 42 points in 25 games. It's every year. It's not just the guy had one really big year. Yeah, he scored 40 points because they got all the way to the Cup final. But had they won those other years, he would have had the same thing, actually even more. So it's to me, it's surprising that many are writing them off. Now, if you thought, okay, McDavid's not going to be back and they're not, well, then that's a totally different story. But there's nothing saying he's not going to be back. They got 17 days. He's skating every day at practice. He's not 17 days away. Now I'm sure they'll be ultra cautious with him, but I'm with you, Spec. Like it's 3 top 9 forwards and your top pair defensemen who aren't in the lineup, and you just beat Vegas. Now they only had 2 of those guys out, and your starting goaltender too. We probably shouldn't forget Stuart Skinner. I know he hasn't had the greatest season, but Stuart Skinner, outside Stuart Skinner for the majority of the playoffs was really good. He had 2 bad games, and the other 21 games, he had a 9.16 and a 2.14. You'll take that all day long in the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah. So it's, it's kind of fun. Like there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. And maybe this is, maybe this is how the Oilers go about it. Maybe, last year we liked that team a lot. I liked the team a lot. I thought they'd go to the Cup when they did. And, we all know what happened. Maybe you come at it a little differently this year. Who knows? Maybe, there's no script here to success. There's a lot of different ways to get there. So let's see how they get there.
Looking at last night, Jake Wallman scored a goal. You saw the excitement for him. What about Victor Arvidsson, Spec? Victor Arvidsson now for the last month and a half kind of looked like the player they hoped they would get. What's your expectations on Arvidsson, and do you think he's finally found some comfort in Edmonton?
Yeah, I totally thought that last night. Like, he worked and digged and dug and got that goal in, and that's a good break because the whistle could have gone, but it didn't, and they scored, and good for him. But I thought to myself through that game last night, just what you said, Jay. He really reminds me of the player that I said on this radio station when they signed him. Oh boy, Oilers fans, you're gonna love this guy, because I've always loved the player, and I'm here to tell you it's been a disappointing season. He hasn't been that great. He's been a little bit hurt, but we're seeing the guy we thought we'd see, and then there again, there's another guy. What if he plays that way all through the playoffs? Now you gotta. The Victor Arvidsson you wanted in the first place. He's tenacious. He wins, like he's that little guy that wins his battles over much bigger men. He's not afraid to go to places and hang around in the front of the net and take whatever you take to score a goal. There used to be a really good player there, and now we're seeing maybe there's still a really good player there. That's a pretty good sign for Edmonton.
Yeah, and I honestly think Arvidsson. Now, I've noticed him. He's not falling down nearly as much. I got to ask him about it because, honestly, early in the year, it was like he was like Scott Hartnell down all the time, and it hasn't been as often. But
you're right.
Like Arvidsson is, he's pretty aggressive, and I think when Perry and Kane are in the lineup, he's a guy who will get kind of sucked into that vortex of tenacity even more. And I've taught anybody who's played any sort of game, when you have teammates who are suddenly more aggressive, you become a little bit more aggressive yourself. Like not going to match Kane or Frederick's level, but if it brings everybody up a little bit more because there's more scrums and there's more hits, and all of a sudden everybody's just in the game more. I think Arvidsson's style actually, he might benefit through osmosis a little bit of having those two.
Yeah. The whole team's going to feel better when you got a couple guys like Kane and Frederick playing. Absolutely. We've seen it in hockey for years. Everybody gets a little taller when you add size and strength and toughness and maybe a little attitude. Listen, it can, and that's a particular itch that this team needed to scratch, right? Yes. We've all agreed, all of us, all of our listeners over the year, that we wish they had a little bit more chutzpah, a little bit more physicality, a little more pushback, a little bit quicker to jump into a scrum. And those two guys that we're talking about, that's what they do. That's a good part of their game. So, that's another domino falling into place maybe. Like I'm feeling positive here, so let's roll with it. But they're coming in the playoffs, need a little bit of toughness and size. And who are two of the guys you got coming back? Well, Ekholm's 6'4", Kane plays the game we all know he plays, and Frederick's a big, strong, tough kid. Like that's going to make this team a whole lot better.
Spec, any rumblings around the Thomas X signing today for you? 29-year-old guy, led the Swedish Hockey League in scoring last year. Helped him over on a one-year deal, 1.2. He's a right shot center. I've read a lot of different scouting reports on him. There's lots of people like, hey, they think this guy can, play on your team and maybe be a third line center who's got some potential offensive upside. What do you make of this signing? Like, I know a lot of people like, oh, this is Gaetan Haas. I'm like, I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit more skilled, maybe not as fast, Gaetan.
Well, yeah, that's a good, I won't talk to the player too much because I haven't seen him play. So I don't know what kind of player he is. I don't mind his size. He's 6'1", I believe they said, or over 6'1", 6'2". You don't lead the Swedish Elite League in scoring by mistake. That's a very good league. So I'm willing to say right now, there's clearly a bunch of skill there. Guys don't just fluke off the leading scorer in that league. He's not playing in Bulgaria or Romania or something like that. That's good league. So that's good. And I admire, what I will say to you is listen, when you're the Oilers, you got to know who you are, and who you are is a team that's trading away draft picks all around. You're always and prospects, because you're trying to win right now. So that pipeline is going to run out. You're going to run out of draft picks. You're going to run out of prospects. You got to supplement. And sure, you can't just go sign 18-year-old free agents. So I guess you can, but there's not many of them out there. But I admire the fact that they're going after this guy, and they're finding Szymanski, the 6'5" German guy. Don't ask me if Szymanski's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play. But you know what? He's played in a couple World Juniors. He's one of the better German young players. And I think, why wouldn't you give that a try? And this guy, only one guy led the Swedish Elite League in scoring this year, and the Oilers got him. It can't be a bad thing. Do they all turn out? They're not all turning out. But if one or two do, right, you're filling the funnel a little bit that you empty every trade deadline. So good for Stan Bowman. I thought that was a handy bit of work, because the Oilers weren't the only team after that guy.
Yeah, like if you look at it, when you look on the 50-man roster, well, Derek Ryan's contract is up. So, Thomas Semik basically takes Derek Ryan's spot on your 50-man roster, right? And maybe, I know Ryan's not here right now, so that's why I'm not saying on your 23-man roster. And then there's other guys like, who is Kapanen going to be back? We go down the list of other potential guys. And then, even in the minors, you look and say, okay, Lane Peterson, Drake Kajula. There's some guys, that probably, Kajula, I could see them bringing back. I'm not sure they'll bring back Lane Peterson, to be honest. So we'll see kind of where that goes. Jacob Perreault, what's happening with him? Robbie Yarventi, we're hearing he's not coming back anyway. So there's the replacement.
Sound like he's coming back, right?
So there's a replacement there. It doesn't really hurt you at all. So, you get a big body, and it never hurts if Leon Draisaitl's helping convince the kid to come and play for the organization. Obviously, he's going to start in the American League, most likely, and then see where it goes.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say I had to spend the day at a full disclosure. I couldn't go to practice today. My computer crapped out on me last night after the game, at the end of the game. And I had to spend the day at an Apple store in San Jose, which is all kinds of fun. But I want to say this. There was a young guy that came and he helped me out. And as soon as he found out I was a hockey writer, Jason, man, he started talking about the Sharks, and he fixed my computer and he cleaned it up and he did a bunch of extra stuff. And I want to say to you, it was a good example for me. I get caught up in social media like all of us do. It was an example to me that most American people are still the good people, the people we love, the people I've known for a 40-year career. Yeah, there's some people down here that are making it a big pain in the rear end, man. But don't forget, they're the minority. There's lots of good people. And I'll tell you what, the guy today that found out I was a Canadian hockey writer, he went out of his way to make sure I went out of there with a working computer and life was good. So I want to say thanks a lot. And remember, folks, they're not all MAGAs down there. There's some real good folks. And I want to say this too. Well, I got you, Jay. Man, it was a kick in the rear end to hear about Bruce McCurdy. What a sad, sad day.
Yes,
he was such a character and a pundit and a different angle on things. Him and me barely agreed with each other ever, which was awesome. I really like the guy, and we're going to miss him in Oiler land here. We're going to miss him.
Yeah, he was a very calm guy. We talked about Bruce earlier. The thing I remember most about Bruce, honestly, I learned lots about astronomy, because I'm not astrology. I'm not really into that, but he was so passionate about it. I'd follow his stuff on. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Me too.
And there were times I actually went outside and was watching eclipses and different things because he had mentioned it on his feed. And I was like, you know what? I got to see this. This is pretty spectacular. So I remember talking to Bruce about it. Said, dude, I never would have even have known if I didn't follow you on Twitter. So
I told him the same thing. I said, I don't follow you for your hockey takes, but when I'm at the lake and I see a bunch of weird stars, I find you on Twitter to find out what's going on.
Yes, our condolences to his son Kevin and their entire family. That's awful news. It's kind of fitting in a way. Bruce, he put one final tweet out after the game.
Yeah.
Fortunately, had a emergency afterwards. So it's really unfortunate. Quickly it can go. So thoughts to Bruce and everybody at the Cult of Hockey today. Spec, we will talk to you tomorrow from San Jose.
All right. Sounds good, Jay.
Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Coming thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah! Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
At McDonald's, there are new breakfast sandwiches with a secret ingredient.
A secret ingredient?
It's a little sweet, born in the cold, cradled by spring.
Gotcha. It's maple.
Well, yes, but let me finish. It's made
with 100% Canadian maple syrup?
Right again. It's a brand new smoky maple sauce featured in...
Oh, some new McD's breakfast sandwiches.
And you can try it
before 11 a.m. only.
Wow, you're good at this.
I know what I like. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
When you live in Northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, Northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Spring into savings at The Brick. Refresh your home with huge discounts. Get up to 35% off sofas and sectionals and up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Dreaming of better sleep? Upgrade your mattress game. Get a king for the price of a queen on select mattresses. Plus, save the tax when you buy 3 or more major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, proudly Canadian since 1971.
Don't settle for being on the rate of last resort if you don't have to be.
Check your most recent electricity bill. If it says the words rate of last resort on it, then there are likely better options available for you. In fact, you could save hundreds of dollars per year by switching plans. Check your bill, then go to ucahelps.ca to explore your options. You will likely find a better rate and could have hundreds more in your pocket by the end of the year. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having a lovely, lovely Wednesday. Let's get to the playoff push brought to you by Alberta GMC. As Truck Month is on now, you can get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. See more at gmccanada.ca. As we welcome back from Vegas, Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. And Ty, the playoff push, it remained close last night. The Oilers and the Kings, they both win over the division leaders in the Jets and the Golden Knights. Impressive victories by two teams who look to be on a collision course here for Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really going to come down to those 4-point games because each team only has 8 left in the schedule. The Oilers aren't going to be able to catch the Kings in the regulation wins tiebreaker either. So Edmonton's not just 2 points back of the Kings. You could say they're 2.5 points back of the LA Kings. So again, with only 8 to go, you have these 2 head-to-heads. Those are absolute must-wins if you want to get home ice in round 1 of the playoffs. And when you look at the Kings' numbers at home and away this year, home ice is going to be pretty important, I think.
Yeah, it definitely could be, I think, for sure. What impressed you most about the Oilers' win last night?
What impressed me most about that victory? There were a lot of guys who chipped in. Even Calvin Pickard at the end made some really, really good saves. I felt like their cycle game was really strong in that hockey game. Like it was reminiscent almost of some playoff wins last year where, I mean, the first period wasn't great. You're down 1-0, but in the second period, it felt like they could really take over for multiple shifts at a time. And if you go back to last year, again, the Oilers didn't go to the Cup final because they were some run and gun team or whatever. Like they pinned teams in and kind of wore them down. So I felt like last night was a bit more of an example of that. I mean, holding the Golden Knights to well under 25 shots on goal as well. Like Pickard made some big saves. They made life actually relatively easy for him for the most part. I don't know. I just felt like everyone kind of chipped in. It was a nice, complete victory. And coming off the win on Saturday over Calgary, which I felt was one of the more like emotional performances of the year, from Corey Perry going and grabbing Backlund to Draisaitl celebrating the way he did when he tied that game, then the overtime victory. It feels like this group is starting to put together the building blocks and almost start to remember like, okay, yeah, this is what we need from an emotional perspective to win in the playoffs. And against Vegas, it would be, this is the style of play we need to have in the playoffs if we're going to go on another run.
Are the Oilers flipping the switch?
I forget who I was talking to. It might have been Jason. It was a former player on my show, and he said you can't call it flipping the switch. He said it's a dimmer. He said if you think you can just get to night 1 of the playoffs and boop, toss it on and you're ready to go 100%, it does not work that way. And he did say, watch for a couple little things to slowly start coming back to their game, and hopefully by game 82 that dimmer is all the way back on and the lights are shining bright. So maybe again, these last 2 games, really, really good building blocks. Tomorrow against San Jose, I mean, hard to take positives no matter how that game goes. Even if you throttle them, it's kind of like, okay, it's the Sharks right now. But Saturday against the LA Kings, I guess, is going to be that next really, really big test. Like, can the Oilers get up for a big game? And that's in the middle of a long road trip too.
Yeah, well, I do think there could be some positive. You can get some guys who aren't scoring to score a little bit, right? You want more guys starting to feel better about themselves. And where are you on Arvidsson? Arvidsson's starting to come around a little bit for you.
Yeah, he's coming around. He's coming around a little bit. I was listening to you and Spec there at the end. I noticed him fall once against Vegas. There was
I
one
know,
point.
only once. That's a big
Only one though, so that's a step forward. Again, good. I like what you kind of said. You know, will he start to vibe a little bit more when they get some other physical players in the lineup and he's into the fight? I'm warming up to him. I still think there's a little bit more that I want to see from him. I want, like, sometimes he winds up for those one-timers and he's outside of the top of the circles. I'd like to see him maybe get to some more dangerous areas and try to get in tight a little bit. And he did exactly that last night when he scored. Sometimes you need a lucky break to get going, but that's another guy. Like, again, 8 games left in the season here. If he can rattle off 3, 4, 5 goals and go on a bit of a run, you start to view the depth and the wing depth on this team a lot differently.
Well, there's lots of guys who I think Oilers fans are hoping maybe they'll be this year's Connor Brown. Disappointing regular season, and all of a sudden just completely redeem themselves in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Arvidsson, even a guy like Jeff Skinner, who I know has cooled off in the last couple of games here, but still, when you compare where he is right now to where he was, say, beginning of January, it's a night and day player for me. So those two guys right there have a chance to totally change how this fan base and how the organization is going to view them in the last month of the season. I know Arvidsson has term, so he's going to be back next year. But for Jeff Skinner, like, this is a chance, your first time in your career, to contribute to a playoff team. And you also have the kind of selfish incentive of, like, you also have a month to change how other teams are going to view you this summer when you're back to being a free agent. Like, that's going to be significant for Skinner as well, because I don't think he just wants to go on one playoff run with a good team and then go back to signing for $2 million with a bottom feeder. Like, he should be, everyone should be highly motivated, but there's that extra little chip on the shoulder, I think, for Skinner, who's trying to earn another deal next year with a good team.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. Tyler Remchuk joins us. Ty, quickly, I look, you talk, and I believe, honestly, the Oilers are putting more of their building blocks in. I know they had the giveaway in the first goal. They obviously didn't like that, but after that, they didn't get very much at all in that game. And, I thought Zach Hyman was more like relentless on the forecheck and more physical. And I was looking at their hit totals, and their hit totals, no surprise to me, have started to ramp it up. But I'm not saying they were ever told to hold back a bit, but the results are suggesting that maybe.
Yeah, the physicality was certainly more noticeable. And again, some big bodies that still need to come back into the lineup. Another thing that stood out for me yesterday, like, again, Edmonton did a very good job, I felt like, of keeping Vegas to the outside. They played a very good structure. You mentioned the one mistake, but that was kind of it. I do think Vegas is probably going to sit there and watch the film of that game last night, especially in that second period. They had a couple of looks that they passed off instead of just ripping it. And again, I feel like if I was another team, the book on the Oilers would be shoot everything on net, because you never know when one of those two goalies is going to give up an absolute softie. And I bet you Vegas is sitting there going, how did we only muster up 12 shots on goal in the final 40 minutes? Again, not to take anything away from Edmonton, and Vegas was on an absolute heater. They were due for one night where they aren't at their A+ or their A- level. But there's that one thing that stood out to me yesterday is I felt like Vegas in the second and third, they were overpassing a ton. They were trying to find just that perfect opportunity, and it never really came.
Ty, thanks for this, man. Get some rest. How was Vegas overall off of the ice?
It was good. It was really, really good. We stayed out on Fremont, so we were kind of in like the old Vegas area, and it's always such a party out there. But I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep right now. We had to be on the bus going back to the airport at 7, and I stayed up late. I had a good time.
Oh, well, hey, if you're in Vegas,
you
can always sleep when you're dead, right?
My game, Greg's Blackjack Switch. You're the one who told me about it, so I seek it out every time I go. It was paying. It's a big reason why I was up late last night.
Buddy, I love the Blackjack Switch. Oh, man, it's unreal. I fell into it once, and then I've loved it ever since. So, yeah, it's good. Awesome. Okay, man. We'll see you tomorrow on the Rundown.
All right, see you, Greg.
There you go. It's Tyler Remchuk from Daily Face-Off and Oilers Nation. Quick final break. We got lots to get to on the Oilers. We'll update you some signings today and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values.
This is Nuge's Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, I don't know, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuge's Nuggets.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Spring into savings at The Brick. Refresh your home with huge discounts. Get up to 35% off sofas and sectionals and up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Dreaming of better sleep? Upgrade your mattress game. Get a king for the price of a queen on select mattresses. Plus, save the tax when you buy 3 or more major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, proudly Canadian since 1971.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Iron deficiency is very common and can lead to a lack of energy, irritability, and anemia. Platinum Natural's Easy Iron at Vitality Health Foods is a gentle, fast-acting iron supplement that's easier for your body to fully absorb. Find it at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
A Tim's Donut and Coffee is the original collab. And now, any classic donut is $1 when you buy any size original or dark roast coffee. Get a deal on the iconic duo with a Tim's dollar donut, plus tax at participating restaurants for limited time. Terms apply. See app for details.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital and BCS Market Garden Equipment. Winter left a mess, and the Lawnmower Hospital brings you solutions. From BCS tillers and rotary plows to power harrows and 2-wheel garden tractors that go places a traditional tractor wouldn't dare. You'll find everything BCS at the Lawnmower Hospital, including attachments, accessories, hitches, wheels, and tires, plus more. See lawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital. Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:49. Gregor Halley, Declan Kruger with you on a busy Wednesday. Man, this show just flew right by. Maybe because I'm feeling a little bit better. So I think I'll be good enough tomorrow to come in the studio. I'm a big believer. I'd never want to be the guy at work who shows up at work sick. It's the worst. So always cognizant of that, especially with the con man with the young Benny around. You don't want to get the little one sick for sure. The out-of-town scoreboard, by the way, the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50 and get a free $50 play. If you went on the Hurricanes, you'll be pretty happy. They are pumping the Capitals 3-0 in the first period. Seth Jarvis, another 30-goal season for him. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Wild are leading the Rangers 2-1. The Rangers in a desperate need of a win to move into a tie with Montreal. Meanwhile, the Wild them and the Blues are right now battling for the 2 wild card spots. Basically, someone's going to get Winnipeg or Dallas, and the other one's going to get Vegas. We'll see, because Winnipeg's not 100% certain that they will be winning the Central. Pretty good chance, but of all the races, that might be the closest one from a division standpoint. Obviously, the no score in the Panthers Maple Leafs game, and no Barkov in that game either for the Florida Panthers. A lot of texts coming in, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I just want to say condolences to the McCurdy family. And second, after listening to Rich and Bill, it makes me wish I had a different mindset when I was younger. I definitely would have done things different, because to me, the thought of working in the NHL sounds like a dream job. Good on Bill for following his dream and taking the path they did. It's where they're at right now. That one comes from JC. Well, yeah, you know what? Hey, you need to do that sometimes in life. And I think it's always good to know what you're good at and what's realistic. Right? I thought the best advice I read lately was, you can have a goal, but do you have the tools to reach the goal, right? What's the path? Everybody always thinks about the end goal, but what about all the steps to get there? And that's why I think sometimes it's a mistake not to celebrate the steps along the way, right? People are like, oh, baseball celebrates too much. What are you talking about? I don't think you can't win the World Series if you don't make the playoffs and you don't win the first round. There's nothing wrong with having a celebration after the game. Guess what? Somebody wins the World Series every year, and they all celebrate it every round. I don't think it's a problem at all. Hey, boys, any update on Echo? I saw him at work today getting physio done. Yeah, well, he's rehabbing an injury that, according to his head coach, is one that with time and rehab, he should be 100% by the playoffs. Coach's words, not mine. I guess I got to believe him. Knobloch doesn't have a reputation in my dealings with him of making up stuff. So if he says that it's something that's doing now, he might not play again in the regular season. We'll see. But Ekholm not going to play in the trip, and we'll see. Maybe he gets in a few games before the end of the regular season. Tomorrow we'll talk Oilers and Sharks. Also talk a little baseball. The Jays, dare to believe, 5-2. 5-2. Also, good luck to the Oil Kings tonight as they take on the PA Raiders, leading that series 2-1. So we'll break that down tomorrow. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers making some moves today, signing 2024-25 Swedish Hockey League scoring leader David Tomasic to a 1-year, $1.2 million for next season. Also for next season, the team signing Josh Szymanski to a 2-year entry-level contract. Szymanski, a 6'5", 190-pound center, at 14 goals, 26 assists in 52 games this season in Germany. On the ice tonight, you've got the Wild leading the Rangers 2-1. Hurricanes beating up on the Caps 3-0, and it's scoreless between the Panthers and the Lightning midway through the first period. Later tonight, Blackhawks host the Avalanche, and the Kraken taking on the Canucks. In the WHL, down at Rogers Place, Oil Kings look to take a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Prince Albert Raiders when they meet. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock. In the major leagues of baseball, you got the Toronto Blue Jays victorious, improving to 5-2 on the season. They complete the sweep over the Nationals, winning 4-2. Earlier elsewhere today, you have the Cubs over the Athletics 10-2. Giants double up the Astros 6-3. Padres over the Guardians 5-2, and the Mariners win over Detroit 3-2. Right now, Diamondbacks have a 4-0 lead over the Yankees. Rockies trail the Phillies 2-0. Red Sox up on the Orioles 3-0, and the Mets lead the Marlins 5-4. Right now in the top of the 11th with the bases loaded. Only one other game tonight. at 6:38. You got the Braves taking on the Dodgers in the association. Knicks up on the Cavs, 51-39. Hornets trailing the Pacers, 41-36. And it's early, but the Heat lead the Celtics 16-15 in one game in the PWHL as the Ottawa Charge leading the Boston Fleet 1-0 after 20 minutes. Coming up next year on Sports 1440, it is Fox Sports Radio. Live local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on the Kevin Carrier Show. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.